Good morning. Today is Monday, October the 6th. It is 9 a.m., and this is the regularly scheduled Cosmetology and Barber Examiners Board meeting. If you are participating virtually through Teams, I need to make sure your cameras are off. You will be muted until it's time for your presentation, and then, of course, at the end, we give everyone plenty of time if they have any questions or things to address with the board. We will make sure to stop at that point. In order to proceed, I'm going to go ahead, Ms. Russell, and start with roll call vote to make sure that we have quorum. Members, when I read your name, if you could let me know you're here. Only 4 mics can be on at the same time, so I'll keep an eye on you as well to make sure. Ms. Susan Arnold?
Here.
Thank you, and welcome. Ms. Arnold is our new, we have 1 new board member a few months ago and 2 brand new this time, so welcome to the board. Perry Baldwin?
Present.
Thank you. Brunette Carlton?
Here.
Thank you. And Ms. Carlton is also joining us for the first time. Welcome on the board. Ms. Anita Charlton, she will be joining us soon. Monica Lemons?
Present.
Thank you. David McElreath?
Present.
Thank you. Marquise Martin?
Present.
Thank you. Jeffrey Moran?
Present.
Thank you. Lane Petty?
Present.
Thank you. Lori Phelps?
Present.
Thank you. Becky Russell?
Present.
Thank you. And Tamika Turner will also be joining us shortly. Ms. Russell, I will turn it over to you. We do have quorum to get us started.
Perfect, thank you. Welcome to our new board members. We're glad to have you as part of the team. I'd like to welcome all the schools that are participating either here or telephonically. If you all are here with us, if you would like to stand and introduce your school.
Lance Benedict, Sheer Perfection Academy.
Marley Shiraz, Posh Beauty and Barber Academy.
Kevin Johnson, Paul Mitchell School.
Golden Sheer Beauty Academy.
We have a full house here. It's good to see you all from the schools. Also, those schools that are participating telephonically, I know that we have some students listening in, so welcome to our meeting. Roxana, if you would like to get us started.
Thank you, absolutely. Again, I briefly mentioned this at the end of the meeting during our new business. We will make sure to have time if there are any questions about the agenda of anyone participating virtually. Those comments can be limited to 3 minutes, but I know that the board is always welcome to hear and answer any questions that come up. The first order of business on our agenda is to approve the agenda as presented. If you have any changes, let me know. Otherwise, I would need a motion and a second to accept the agenda.
I make a motion to accept.
I second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Monica Lemons, a second by Perry Baldwin. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. The agenda as presented will be carried out today. The next order of business is the minutes. These are the minutes from August 2025. They were emailed to the members in advance to be able to review. If you have any amendments, please let me know. Otherwise, I would need a motion and a second to accept.
I make a motion we accept. I second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Lori Turner and a second by Monica Lemons to accept. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you, members. We will move on with our business. We have 13 school applications. Several of those have both cosmetology and barber. So we will go ahead and get through them as they were presented on the agenda on your iPads. Our first school is Ms. Maria Mora is presenting on behalf of Mary Gabby Nails Academy. This is a new manicure school. The school is located in Smyrna. You have before you the application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan. They were all received timely. Ms. Russell, I will turn it over to you.
Who do we have presenting for them?
Maria Mora is on the call. Ms. Mora, there you are.
Welcome, Ms.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can. Would you like to tell us a bit about your school?
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to be here in this meeting. My name is Maria. Well, the school is located in Smyrna. This is a small school. We are committed to support the student to when the student start to provide all the knowledge about the rules set by the board and become a professional in this industry. And I am very excited to start this adventure with the future students.
All right, Ms. Mora, we're going to start out with a few questions about your application. Your days and hours of operation, I see that you have the hours of operation, but I'm not seeing where it says what days of the week.
What days is in the week? Let me check. Um, yes, we are going to work from Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay, if you will just add that to the bottom where it says that you're working full-time 9 to 4, if you will put on there Tuesday through Saturday, please.
Yes, okay.
Okay, as I was going over your curriculum, it appears that your curriculum does not match the state board's exactly. It's close, but we do need to make sure that that is exact. I think that you've just added a few things that you would like to teach. So if you'll take those out and make those exact.
Okay.
You are offering both full and part-time. Do you have it in your paperwork where it says that full and part-time hours are being kept separately?
Yeah, let me check. I have to add in my paperwork.
Hours of operation on our page 28.
You say the full time the statement.
So somewhere within this, it should have a statement that says that your full-time hours and part-time hours, the records, will be kept separately.
Okay. In my enrollment on page, let me check. In my page 3, student records policy, full time and part time student files.
Perfect, thank you so much.
Mhm.
Board members, if you will take a look at our page 39, I'd like to look over the contingency plan. This substitute instructor protocol, this is your page 1 of your contingency plan. This states that if an instructor is absent for 3 days, the students will receive independent study assignments, and that does not meet the board's requirements.
Yes, I going to change because this is a synchronous education, online classes, but it could be synchronous education.
Okay, so just making sure that that is synchronous education, so you'll need to change that. So look over your entire contingency plan and just make sure that there's no time that students are working
Yes.
unsupervised.
Yes, on my page 3, I put in synchronous education online or
Okay.
alternative instruction.
Okay, so that says for temporary closure, but you had it, which is fine that that says synchronous, but you did have as the substitute instructor protocol. That's where we're
Yeah, okay.
saying independent study.
Yeah.
When the students are signing the agreement, is there a statement that says that they are signing prior to payments?
Yeah, on page, let me check. On my page 2, at the bottom, I have the student signature, student knowledge of financial obligation. Is that what you tell me?
Yes, that's fine. I just hadn't located it. Okay, board members, do you all have additional questions?
I have one on her page 5 under our history. Reading it says she's got a bachelor's degree, but a post-grade degree, and I have no idea what that means.
What is the page number, excuse me?
I'm seeing it on page 5 under our history. About her
Oh.
fourth bullet down, it says that she has a bachelor's degree in integrated education and a post-grade degree. I don't know what post-grade degree means.
The postgrade in my country is after degree. It's a specialization for any for my degree in my country. This is my presentation.
Does she mean postgraduate degree? Yes. And I think above that, she's misspelled professional. I mean, just a little bit of cleaning up in there.
Okay.
And then on page 29, her times were listed on there too, Becky. If you didn't see it on our page 29, her page 16.
So, it's good that it's listed there, but I think it needs to be on that front page where the students, yeah. So if she can just add it, I think that would be great.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept with changes that you had brought before and get back to Roxanne.
I accept.
Yes, we have a motion by Monica Lemons and a second by Perry Baldwin to accept. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. I'm sorry, Ms. Russell.
Go ahead.
I just want to make sure, so we've got definitely that on the first page of the application, we need the days of the week, which she said are Tuesday through Thursday, those are through Saturday, those need to be added. The contingency plan needs to be updated to make sure that everything references virtual education with an instructor participating and synchronous, and then some cleanup items and spelling regarding the postgraduate education.
Also, correcting the curriculum to make sure
Oh, the
that it.
curriculum.
Yeah, it matches, it needs to
Yeah,
match
I'm not
exactly.
sure what she added. Okay. Ms. Mora, did you have any questions about those pieces?
Oh, no, I don't have question. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, and the board, you'll send those to me, and then we will do the field inspection after those have been approved. Thank you.
Congratulations,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Mora.
Thank you.
Thank you, members. Next, we have Maryville Aesthetics. This is a change in location. Ms. Jody Brown is participating. This school is located in Maryville. The application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan were received timely. Let me get to the right page. I don't think I have it.
We do not have that
I don't either.
listed. Our next one on the agenda is Memphis.
Okay. That might have stayed and needed to be erased. I think that was last month. It's throwing me off too. So you're on Memphis Barber College, yes. And this is Mr. Emery Hammonds, starting on page 46. And this school is located in Memphis. This is a new school. He presented an additional branch at the last meeting, I believe. And this is for a new cosmetology school. It's located in Memphis. You have before you the application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, the catalog and contingency plan. And Ms. Russell, I will turn it over to you. Make sure Mr. Hammonds, can you hear us?
Yes, good morning.
Oh, good morning. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Hammonds. Would you like to tell us a bit about your school?
Yes, it's a new school. I came before the board 2 months ago, for the barbering portion, and so I'm just simply adding cosmetology and natural hair
Okay.
at this location. Hmm.
I'd like to start out with a few notes that I've made. The first one concerning your days and hours of operation, there's a little confusion for me as I was going through. I kept seeing Monday through Saturday, Monday through Friday, and Tuesday through Saturday in different places. So if you can clean that up so students are very clear the days of week that they are intended to be in school. It looks like on the enrollment agreement that you have Monday through Saturday, 8 to 8. That is only one location, but in other locations, you've got different hours of operation. So if you can clean that up, we just want to make sure that everyone who's attending school knows exactly the days and times that they're expected to be there.
Okay, yeah, okay. Go
Sure.
ahead. Yeah, I
Um,
think it's there. What I clean it. I clean it up for you. Go ahead. Let me see what you said. Go ahead.
Okay. Um,
Is page 2 at the very bottom? Is that what you're looking for?
So his enrollment agreement contract, it has it there, but then later in the paperwork, it's like, yeah, there's different locations where it's different. So I just need it to match everywhere.
Okay, but just so you know, what I have is, the students typically Tuesday through Saturday, but Monday is like a makeup for any student who wants to come and make up some hours or do extra hours. But I clean it up for you.
Okay, so I think maybe, because you're only open for Monday for cleanup or whatever, the traditional hours that your students would be expected to be in class, the Tuesday through Saturday, if that's what it is, then that's what it should
Exactly.
say. Okay.
Okay.
The next thing that I want to make sure that we're clear on is, on your page 2, you have a statement that says expedite the course, add additional hours. I guess because they can go on Mondays or whatever, they can expedite their course. I'm fine with the fact that they can expedite their course, but you need to be very clear that students can only attend a maximum of a certain number of hours per week.
Okay. Okay.
So,
And I think that's like 10 hours a day. I'll read back through the law to make sure, but I think it's 10 hours a day max. So,
so
but I'll put that in.
if you let them go to school your maximum hours of operation, I think that they would end up with more than they are legally allowed to have in a week. So we just need to make
Okay, I
sure that
got you.
they can attend extra hours if they choose to, but they can't go over the maximum amount allowable.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Right. So they'd be very clear about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Thank you for making your curriculum match exactly. That's one of those things that
You're welcome.
I have to say a lot. Let's see. You have a statement about virtual education on your enrollment agreement. Can you just explain how that virtual classes would take place?
Yes, only in a case of a shutdown, like a pandemic, that type of deal. So everything's going to be on site.
Okay.
But in the emergency situation where we're shut down for some reason, like we went through in 2020, that's the only scenario we will use that.
And this would be synchronous or asynchronous?
Well, it'd be like teams, like we're communicating right now
Okay.
through Teams.
So
Yes,
that
ma'am.
is synchronous, and I just wanted to ensure that that was your intent.
Okay. I did not know the difference. That's why I explained it that way. Okay, gotcha.
That is
Okay.
synchronous.
Synchronous. Okay.
Can you direct me to the point, to the page where you've added your backup for timekeeping? I probably have looked over it, I just couldn't find it.
Okay. Let's see.
It says page 9 of 10
Okay,
or 60.
thank you. Miss Roxanna was able to find it. I was just unable
Okay.
to
Good.
locate it.
Okay. Okay.
All right, on your page 10, on R61, it has no tuition in exchange for 300 hours of work. For cosmetology instructors, there are two very specific routes in which to train to be an instructor. There's the instructor trainee route, and then there is the junior instructor route. They are very different in the way that they work. Instructor trainees can attend school for 300 hours, but they are focused mainly on learning to be an instructor through textbook applications, things like that. Junior instructors, on the other hand, work as an instructor and can have their own classes for 1 to 3 years. This is kind of laid out in the definitions in our definitions portion of the chapter. I feel like you are trying to kind of mesh the two.
Well, no, I didn't have junior instructor in mind, so at all. Yes.
So are you intending to do the instructor trainee for 300 hours or the junior instructor for 1 to 3 years?
Just the 300 hours, not 1 or 3 years. No.
Okay.
I mean, that now that you mentioned that, that might be a great idea to add on there, but that's not what I had in mind. I didn't have the junior instructor in mind at all.
I guess the way that it's worded in your documentation, it sounds like you just intend for a cosmetologist to come in and work for you for 300 hours and then be allowed to test as an instructor.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
But that is not the way that it works. So a 300-hour course is an instructor teaching another instructor how to be a teacher. They're not necessarily in the classroom with students every day. They are not in the classroom teaching students every day. They are learning things like lesson planning, how to set up classrooms, how to test their students, things like that. So it's a teacher teaching a teacher how to teach versus going into a classroom and teaching a class and just being observed doing it.
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah, I use work because I consider that as work as far as being an assistant to a licensed instructor. So maybe I just used the wrong word there, but I consider that work. It had to be some type of equal exchange when something is given for free. So I can reword that if necessary.
If, Ms. Russell, if I can pipe in.
Sure.
I do think he's describing the training program, whether a barber instructor assistant or a junior instructor under cosmetology. And so, Mr. Hammonds, I can go over those with you. I think unless the board wants him to represent, removing this as it's stated and clarifying that he intends to use the junior instructor training program for this one. And Mr. Hammonds, that is sort of what you're explaining. That individual must be a junior instructor for a minimum of 1 year, and they are working under a licensed instructor, and it's 1 junior instructor for each hired instructor. So there's no real 300 hours. And I can go over that with you if you want to proceed. If not, this would have to be removed because Ms. Russell's correct. I think you're mixing both pieces.
Well, yes, that's fine. But again, I really didn't have the 1 to 3 years in mind, only the 300 hours. But I was trying to make sure it was a mutual exchange. That's why I used the term work. So it's not. I didn't mean that they would be working with a classroom on their own. They would be under the license supervision of a licensed instructor.
And that is a minimum of
So
a
I can
year.
clean that up.
That is a minimum of a year. So we can either remove it, or I'm gonna let the board members then decide. I won't be making that decision. That is a minimum of 1 year time. It can't be less than that.
Okay, I can change that to 1 year and send that directly to you if that's okay with the board.
Okay, you can add that, but I would like for you to visit the definition of the two. And I think that it might help after you're reading it in the law, what the definition of each one is. It may help to clarify for you what we're trying to make sure that you understand.
Okay, all right.
Board members, do you have additional questions?
I make a motion to accept with the changes and get those in to Roxana.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to accept the application. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, you've got just a couple of clarifications to make with Ms. Roxana. Congratulations.
Thank you. You have a good morning.
Thank you. Members,
All right,
we are
bye-bye.
on to Golden Shears Beauty Academy. This starts on your page 79. And appearing before the board is Mr. Elvin Mejia. You have before you the application, and this is a new branch being added. They are located in Nashville. You've got the application, floor plan enrollment agreement presented to you. And I will let Mr. Mejia come up to answer any questions.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Can you tell us a bit about your school?
It would probably take me a whole day to tell you about Golden Shears. Very excited to be here. It's been almost a decade since I haven't been in the state board, so I'm very excited to see new faces and also excited to see Mr. Martin sitting here, he was one of my student teacher as well. Excited to hear Mary Gabby as well. She was our student as well with us. Congratulate to her as well. Very excited that over the years we have helped so many community, multicultural, Spanish especially, that has been growing in the state of Tennessee. Very excited of the changes of my ladies and BSI and all those things that has been done for us as a school that makes our school growth in so many ways. So happy to be here. I was supposed to retire quite a while, but I didn't because there's so much challenges, which is great. Excited to always call Roxana when I need help. She's been an amazing director and help as well for my community. And excited also to have Dr. Lance as well with me running the Sheer Perfection Academy. So happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Do you plan to run both a traditional and an apprentice school in this location?
In this location, right now, we're going to do apprentice, and in the future, we will do traditional, but not at this point.
Okay, I was looking at your blueprint, and that's why I was asking, because
Yes.
you have hair stations, things like that, that are not required for apprentice students. So,
This school has been there forever. It used to call Volunteer Beauty Academy. Then we turned it into the Spanish school, and then it was Sheer Perfection Academy. So we actually have many spaces, first floor and second floor. So we were making a lot of changes as the changes goes through, even through COVID as well.
we just like to make sure that school owners do understand that apprentice students, they attend the school only for theory hours and not for practical.
That's correct.
That's why we always come with that question. That makes sense that if you might later add the traditional route. Your hours of operation, it appears to not be on the enrollment contract. It gives you how many hours per week that students would be attending, but not the hours in the day or the days per week. So if you will add that to their enrollment agreement, unless I'm overlooking it.
Sure, we can do that. We have it at the catalog, but we can add that into our contract. Not a problem.
The curriculum does not match exactly, board members, this is on 9091. I think cosmetology, one of them matches correctly, but aesthetics and manicuring, there are some additional classes or things that you would like to add to it or that you have added to it, and it does have to match the curriculum that's laid out in our rules exactly. That is the extent of the notes that I have. Other board members, do you all have any other questions?
Motion to accept with the change on the front page?
No, I had a question.
Okay.
Which page was your licensed supervising professionals who will be overseeing the second part of the education for your apprenticeship students?
Who is the educator?
Who would be your licensed supervising professionals?
Yeah, that would be Dr. Narquita Johnson.
Is that listed? And on what page?
I think the question is, since it's apprenticeship only, you need, and I think you have it here because I've seen it, you need to list the professionals that are going to be going, your students are going to go to.
Oh, okay,
Not the
okay.
instructor, but the supervising professional. Is that correct? Mr. Martin?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. You can list them, yeah.
On the enrollment contract, it had supervisor partner. And it had the name,
You got a page number for me on that one?
page 84.
Our page 84?
Yeah,
All right.
in the enrollment contract.
Yes, it's there.
Got it.
Yeah, we have made those changes since you guys asked last time. And I truly apologize because one of my director, she had a surgery and she cannot talk, so that's why she's not here. So I'm trying to do as best I can, so.
We have a motion to accept by Ms. Lane Petty.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you so
Congratulations.
much. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Well, Mr. Mejia might decide to stay up or join Dr. Benedict. The next item on your presentation is Sheer Perfection Academy of Cosmetology and Barbering. This is a change in ownership for both their cosmetology and their barber program. Dr. Benedict is their new owner that has joined them, and so I will turn it over to you, and this presentation starts on 1:20.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Would you like to tell us a bit about your school?
Sheer Perfection Academy has been around since 2014, and I'm just joining Elvin in this venture.
It made it very easy for me to locate this information because I felt like it was deja vu there for a minute. I saw the enrollment agreement. So the same things will need to happen with this one as well. The days and hours of operation, if you will place that on the front page of that enrollment agreement. You all just give kind of a total number of hours, full-time and part-time, for each week. It is listed in the student handbook, but we do need that to be on the enrollment agreement as well.
Okay.
Your curriculum ironically matches on the enrollment agreement to the state board, but does not match in the handbook. So make them match in both places.
Okay.
It matches the state curriculum on the enrollment agreement, but it does not match in the student handbook. So if you will just copy your enrollment agreement curriculum into the handbook, it will make it match.
Okay.
Board members, do you have additional questions about this school?
He's not here.
A motion to accept with changes on the hours.
Second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, members. Our next school starts on your page 179. This is Urban Beauty at Barber Institute. It's a change in ownership for both the cosmetology and barber school license. We have participating, I'm not sure if Mr. Eric Johnson or his wife, but they will be able to answer any questions you have. The school is located in Memphis. It was previously presented to the board in August, but there were several additional changes, and you wanted them to represent. So you have before you the updates, of course, their application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan. Ms. Russell, I will turn it over to you.
Welcome. Do we have Mr. and Ms. Johnson online?
Good morning, it's Belinda Johnson representing Urban Beauty. How are you all?
Good. Would you like to tell us a bit about your school?
Sure. We are newly in Memphis, Tennessee, and our goal is to be more than just a school, but a launching pad to help those in the community to gain professional training, license, and how to run a business being well and fit. That's our main goal.
All right. I feel like I might have gotten up and walked away from this one while I was going through it. So I have missed just a couple of things, and probably the other board members may have caught it, or you can direct me directly to it. The clock hours in weeks or months to graduate.
You said, what are the hours?
So how many weeks or months that it takes to graduate?
Okay, I think that would be done on a case-by-case basis, but we did put it in the agreement form where we will write that in once the student comes in on there. But let me go to my student hand. Did I need to put like an estimate on what, on that?
On this, you have the days per week, the hours that they would attend. So if a student attended Tuesday through Saturday during your opening hours, just as listed, how long in weeks or months would it take them to graduate? So a student should know they will be attending school for 12 months, or they will be attending school for however long that is. They need to know that if they have good attendance and they go to school every day, then I will graduate in X number of weeks or months. That's a requirement that has to be on the enrollment agreement. I do see where you say contract start date and scheduled end date. That's great that you can give them a date, but they do need to know that in terms of weeks or months. And then the student receives a copy of the agreement. When they are signing it, usually there's a place to acknowledge that they're receiving a copy. I may have just overlooked it, but can you point me to that?
Okay, let's see. But I'm going to, I think it's on the last page. Okay, can you check?
Page
It
202
should
of
be on the-
ours, it's her page 17, I believe, has at the bottom the student initial printed name, and above it, I guess, is that financial obligation acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And did it say that they're receiving a copy of the agreement? That was. I think it's just a simple, I'm not seeing it, I think it's just a simple thing on the end of that agreement that you have students sign that they have received a copy of what they have signed.
Okay, I don't particularly have the words that they will receive a copy, but I do have that they acknowledge and all of that.
Okay, so they need to acknowledge, but they also need to have a copy sent home with them. So if you will add that to it.
218, Becky, if you can take a look. Pardon me. And that is just acknowledging that they've gotten.
218, yes, it's your page 16. It says that they've received a copy of the fully executed agreement. Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't have any further notes, board members, if you all have anything. Correct, it just needs to have the weeks and months to graduate.
Yeah. Okay, I make a motion with the change for the weeks and months and get those back in.
I second.
We've got a motion and a second to approve the school. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Members, next is Paul Mitchell, the school in Nashville. It's a change in location for their cosmetology school. This starts on page 232, and you have Kevin Johnson appearing here in person to answer any questions. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Johnson. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys this morning?
Would you like to tell us a bit about your school?
Sure. Our school's been at this location since 2019. And even though it's a change of location, we're not going anywhere. It's just additional space, but because ultimately, as you see on the layout, there is potential that the general public would be there for possible services. Additionally, for our aesthetics program. So we've had to, of course, add that. So we're doing this application for that.
Perfect. I was just getting ready to do Ron Gillihan good and ask how far you were moving, but
Yeah.
you ruined it for me because you're not moving.
There's a doorway through the hallway that's there.
All right. Board members, I've looked over this paperwork and I don't have any additional questions. I will give you all a chance to ask any questions.
This presentation is stellar, and I make a motion to pass. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this school application. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I don't think I've ever heard stellar, so congratulations. Because as you all know, it takes a couple of months to get our presentations before you, so that is awesome. I apologize if I continue coughing. Members, you are on page 374. This is Lynn's Academy of Barber and Cosmetology. This is a change in location for both of those schools, and Ms. Arcelian Sanders is participating virtually. You have before you the application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, and contingency plan. And I will turn it over to you, Ms. Russell.
I'm trying to get to my notes, so sorry. All right. She is participating telephonically, is that correct?
Yes, Ms. Sanders, there you are. I see her now.
Ms. Sanders, would you like to tell us a bit about your school?
Good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me?
We can. Would you like to tell us a bit about your school?
Absolutely. This is my third year. I'm excited about that. And the reason I'm relocating is because I'm planning on expanding. I have over an acre of land that I have property, like a building on already for the school. And then I want to build eventually for full service school.
All right, we will start with a few questions. The first one that I have, I was unable to locate where your full and part-time hours would be kept separately.
I'm not doing part-time, so
Perfect.
that was removed.
All right. I would like to talk a little bit about your Is it once a week that you're meeting online and the rest of the time the students would be in class? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you tell me a bit about how you plan to run those classes?
I plan to run the classes Monday, Tuesday through Saturdays from 9 to 4:30. Just have, just like a regular school, have your students there, teach them what they need to know about state board laws, about whatever subject we on that day, and let them have their breaks in between.
So during your classes that are hybrid or online learning classes, how will those be delivered?
We can be on Sigma, CIMA, Sigma Miladies. Yes, ma'am. And that's me there as a teacher.
So you will be synchronous with your students as they are going through their SEMA?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, board members, if you have additional questions.
Yes, I have a question, and this is for any school that presents with SEMA as their online course material. Thank you. SEMA doesn't allow, like, it doesn't have videoing or recording. So what the schools need to present, what other platform they'll use along with SEMA?
They do need to verify that they will be online with the students in some way. So I don't know what she intends to use, but that might be a good question for you to ask.
So yes, what other platform would you use for the virtual visual piece to SEMA?
Virtual piece with Sigma would be Zoom or Team. I normally use Zoom.
Okay, great. And are the students providing services at the location?
No, we don't offer services at
Okay, just theory.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you tell me what backup you're using for timekeeping? So other than SEMA, what is your other backup for timekeeping?
It's what the the accreditation keeps up with as well.
So every school is required to have to keep time, but they are also to have a backup for keeping that time. How will you back up your hours? How will you know if SEMA is correct or if the system crashed and the hours were erased for whatever reason? How would you verify what hours the students had actually completed?
It's what the Sigma accreditation, and I always go there and go back and look at the hours as well.
So it sounds like to me you're still allowing SEMA to be the only platform in keeping up with the hours. I'm having a hard time with this and how to word it on the record because I don't want to give information away for students who might try to cheat a system, but there are ways to duplicate hours using that system. So how are you going to ensure that those hours are not duplicated?
Okay, with Sigma, you cannot be on, say for instance, you can't, okay, say for instance, they have a laptop, they have a phone, and they have a tablet. They cannot be on all three at one time. You
Is
only
that
can
just your
be
school
on one.
policy?
No, that's Sigma, that's period. You can't be on three, you can't be on on your cell phone, on your laptop or your tablet at the same time. Like you can't log in at the same time, so there's no way that they can duplicate hours.
Okay, and if SEMA lost your hours, the internet ate them, how would you ensure that your students' hours were protected, that they were in school?
They would sign in and sign out.
Okay, so they're gonna sign in and sign out when they are on your location, but if they are
Yes,
at home and you are on Zoom, then what will be your backup method?
I would have to record it.
Okay. You need to, if you will add that to this, if you'll add it to your application that you are what platform you're gonna use and that you are going to record during synchronous education, that will help us with, knowing what backup method you have for timekeeping.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Got you. Writing it down. That should be on the enrollment agreement and the catalog, or just the enrollment agreement?
The enrollment agreement is the one that, we're most concerned about.
Agreement, okay. And the correct way to word it would be record Zoom.
If, you have to have some kind of backup method, if that is what the backup method is that you're choosing, then you would say hours would be recorded in SEMA as well as Zoom recordings, or whatever two methods. We can't tell you what two methods to use. We just need to know that there are two methods of backing up their hours.
Okay. Thank you.
This is an apprenticeship program, correct?
Absolutely.
Do we have a list of your licensed supervising professionals that will be
Yes,
overseeing?
page 437 and 438. She's got a
430.
page for each one.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Ms. Sanders, can you tell me where it's broken down, where the apprenticeship students know that they can only do half and at the school, and then pass their theory exam before going into practice with a salon for the apprenticeship piece?
Mm-hmm. So on page 1 on the enrollment agreement, right under the program, where it says, the hours, 21.5 weeks, and underneath you will see it says 21.5 weeks, 750 hours for practical hours under the supervising professional, and it should show on another page here, on page 5, underneath the programs of study, page 5. And on page 6. See where else I have it.
On your first
And
page,
7.
I don't see where it says, maybe I'm overlooking it, that the students have to take their theory exam and pass it before going into, under the supervision of a licensed professional.
Okay, I will go look into that detail. It should be in there, but you know how it is looking through all this paperwork. Let me see. It should be in there, because I verbally tell them, but I know it should be on this paper here.
I think I've located it. I'm reading over it now.
Thank you. Let's see. So far, I had some graduates and they licensed, so I'm excited about that.
Page 445.
Didn't find it.
I can't hear you, Ms. Turner.
Under the summary of the apprenticeship program.
Summary, what page are you on?
I think you all may be looking at the next presentation. I think you may have gone too far.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the school ends at 4:38.
See it on there, where it explains. And that's very critical for the student to understand that they cannot just clock 50% of the hours and then go straight into the salon.
Yeah, they
Seen
know
in
that.
so many
They know.
cases.
Oh, no, for real?
Ms.
They
Sanders?
know better than that.
Ms.
Ma'am.
Sanders, can you point to where that statement is there, that they must pass the theory exam before starting their practical hours? I think that's what we're looking for.
Okay, I tell you what, if it's not, if we can't find it right now, I'll make sure I would double type it in there. But I know they know that, they know it, so I go over it with them. So maybe it's not written. I explain it once they see the 750 theory, then I go then you have to take your theory test, your state board test before you can go on and do your practical. And then once you finish your practical underneath the supervisor professional, then you go and pass your, where they can come back to school, so I can make sure they got their kit and all that together. But far as maybe the wording is not like how it need to be in there, I can always add that to that.
I found it. Page
Where
414
you-
for us.
414, I don't know
It's
what
for
that
us
page would be.
on our 414. It's her page 17. Your page 17, number 14.
My page 17. That must be my curriculum, my catalog.
It's under your school standard rules and regulations.
School standard and regulations.
It begins on page 16 and it goes over to her 17, which is our 414. It's at the top of the page. Students perform services under the supervising professional after the student has completed 750 theory hours and passed the theory test. So that's the line that I was looking for. It's very, very, very important to those apprenticeship students, because students get lost in that, and they think that they have the right after they've clocked 50% of the hours in their mind, and they're able to go into the salon. So I want to always make sure that that line is present in regards to the apprenticeship program. Thank you, Ms. Sanders.
You welcome. I need to highlight that one then, because I know, like I said, once we go over it and I explain it to them, because they get bored, you go start reading through all this like that. But that's very good that you pointed that out. Thank you so much.
So I make a motion to accept with the hours brought back.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Congratulations, Ms. Sanders. Good luck with your
Thank
school.
you all. Thank you.
Thank you, members. We are on to Empower Health and Beauty Academy. This starts on page 439 on your tablets. Ms. Wanda Amos is participating virtually to answer any questions you have. This school is located in Antioch. It is for a new barber school she's adding. Next door, she has the cosmetology school license, the application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan were presented timely. Ms. Russell, I will turn it over to you.
Welcome, Ms. Amos. Would you like to tell us a bit about your barbering school?
Great morning, great morning. I wanted to be present, but my mother, caregiver called out today, so unfortunately, I'm here. I wanted to be present to see you all in person. But we are adding the new barber component to next door, which is one door over. And our mission is to not only just teach the students how to become barbers, but we also want to add a mentorship program for business to understand the importance of when you become a business owner, the importance of having a business license, EIN number, as well as chartering your business. A lot of people in the beauty industry fail to get that knowledge, and I'm learning this as I've gone along within the last year or so with working in the beauty industry. So that's one of the pieces that we want to bridge the gap, to ensure that they're successful.
Okay, I want to, let's see. I want to look at your curriculum. Board
Mhm.
members, this is our 444, I think, that I'm wanting to look at. Sorry, give me just a second to get myself on the correct page.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
I think it starts on 447, Becky.
So there is a chart that I was looking for. I made myself a note to look at the chart.
Mhm.
The theory hours and practical training hours that are listed, if you look at barbering, those theory and practical hours would not match the curriculum. So you have the curriculum written out, but if you look at the theory and the practical, you've got it, let's see, 600
I'm
theory,
going
900
through.
practical.
Uh-huh.
And the way that I'm looking at it, it would be 240 and 1260 would be the split between theory and practical based on the way the curriculum is written.
Mm, I'm trying to look through here because, of course, the
Yours is
catalog.
on page 2, you have a traditional school experience and there's a chart. And
Mhm.
then you list barbering and then theory
Mhm.
hours and practical training hours. But those are off balance based on the curriculum, the way that the curriculum is written. And that would make those hours off balance to have that many theory hours versus practical hours if you match it to the curriculum.
Okay.
So later you have the curriculum, spelled out, like these are the things that you're going to learn, and that part is correct.
Right.
But it's just that chart throws the hours off.
Okay, we can make that correction.
Okay,
Thank you for pointing that out.
sure.
I'm
And as
looking,
always, Miss Roxana has been a great help as well because I'm kind of still new to it, but she walks me through every step, and I appreciate her for that. I wanted to make sure I acknowledge her again.
She is fantastic, we would agree.
Yes, she is.
I'm looking at your floor plan, and
Hmm.
I see 5 double-sided stations, so you got 10, 20, 30 stations? Is that what that
Yes.
is?
Yes.
What is the square footage of your facility?
The square footage is, it's actually 4,200. So it's actually 3 levels. But on that level where the stations will be is 3,250 square feet.
Okay. Yeah, the floor plan is kind of confusing when you look at it. You really just can't really just see exactly where things are going to be placed. I would like to have a better idea of what the space looks like versus just having these little blocks in there. It just doesn't give you a real feel for what the facility and how it's set up.
Typically,
I
our
can,
field inspectors are the ones that really give us a really good idea. And if they can kind of give us just the minimal to look at to ensure that they do have the space that's needed, the field inspector will make sure that they do have all the equipment and all of the things. Sometimes our blueprints are not a really clear picture, but the field
right.
inspectors will.
I tried my best.
The field inspectors will come back and let us know if they feel like there's an issue with that. I don't know if that helps ease your mind about it,
Well,
but
no, I was just looking it over. Just was like, it's minimal. That's for sure.
this is just a side note for you. The information that we have looks pretty good, but starting on your page 6, I feel like some of the topic numbers might be a little incorrect. I think you're missing a whole topic number 3. So I think it's just a, clerical, just for your cleanup. You might want to go back through and just revisit those to make sure all the topic numbers and bullet points, all those things look the way that you would like to see them.
Yes, ma'am. I see that. Okay. Okay.
I make a motion to accept with the hours change again.
I have a question about page 455, our 455, which is your page 13, Ms. Amos. It says, the chart is number 6, and it says tuition and fees. And then,
That's the error.
okay, right there where it says the student agrees to report to school, it's not completed. It just says, training and abide by the
The
school's
statement.
rules. Yeah, that statement.
Okay.
I wanted to know, is this like a continuation of the beginning where you have everything,
Yes, they
charted
have to
out?
actually come in. Say, I'm sorry.
On the chart, is this just where you say what program they'll be under, the
Yes,
tuition cost?
ma'am.
Okay, but that statement needs to be completed.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am. I
ma'am.
will get that.
So the
Yes.
students understand it.
It's cut off. I
Okay.
see it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Like that. Thank you so much. Page 20.
We had a motion, so I second the motion. Yes.
We have a motion and a second to accept with the minor changes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Members, we are on page 501 on your iPads. This is Posh Beauty and Barber Academy. It is a new apprenticeship, cosmetology, and barber school. Mr. Antonio Johnson and Ms. Melisha Ross.
Good morning. Yes, you too.
Good morning.
Good
Would you all
morning.
like to tell us a bit about your school?
Well, good morning, everyone. Our names are Marley Ross, and this is Mr. Antonio Johnson. We're proud to stand before you today to represent Posh Beauty and Barber Academy, a place where passion meets purpose, education transforms lives. We come here today with a combined 35 years of experience in the beauty and barber industry, along with Mr. Johnson's background in secondary career and technical education, and then my background in post-secondary education. At Posh Beauty and Barber Academy, our goal is simple but powerful: to make beauty education possible and accessible to the everyday working individual. We understand that many people dream of entering the beauty and barbering industry but face many challenges balancing work, family, financial responsibilities, prompting the need for design programs with flexible, synchronous learning systems to provide support and balance for individuals looking to enter the beauty industry. Our apprenticeship programs allow students to earn while they learn, with a smooth transition to gaining hands-on experience in licensed salons and barbershops while completing their education. This approach not only builds technical skill, but also confidence, professionalism, and strong foundations for successful days in today's industry. Like many of us who have attended cosmetology and barbering schools, the struggle of a demanding home life while pursuing your education can become rather stressful. And at Posh Beauty and Barber Academy, we believe education should meet people, where they are, whether they're a parent, a full-time employee, someone ready for a fresh start. So we've built a pathway that allows you to grow your education without putting your life on hold. Our goal is not to just create talented professionals, but to nurture entrepreneurs, leaders, and educators who will shape the future of our beauty and barbering industry. We're more than a school. We're a community that celebrates creativity, diversity, ambition, and a community that believes everyone deserves the opportunity to succeed regardless of where they start. So whether your dream is to master your craft behind the chair, open your own business, or inspire the next generation of beauty professionals, Posh Beauty and Barber Academy is here to help make that dream a reality. So thank you all for allowing us to be here, and thank you for believing in the power of education, artistry, and opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We will start with a few questions. And again, it can be things that we've overlooked, but could you point me to an area where you have listed your backup for timekeeping?
Our backup for timekeeping, we are going to use the SEMA My Lady standard for our education. We are going to also use Microsoft Teams as our backup. So SEMA will log them as they come in and out of the system, and Microsoft Teams will track them the entire time that they're logged into Teams.
Okay. Did you list that in this presentation somewhere?
It should, let's see. It doesn't necessarily say Microsoft Teams. It does say here the attendance. It's my page 6. I'm not sure what page it is for you.
Sure.
It just says attendance will be documented via a time clock system and log in from our live theory lessons. Would you like me to list Microsoft Teams as an actual name listed there?
No, I think that we just needed to know a time clock and log in for, no, I think that's adequate. I just needed to see it.
Okay.
And Ms. Russell, this is just a conversation with the SEMA piece, because some schools do think that SEMA records when they're in and out, but actually when they are reading in the ebook, after 10 minutes, it stops clocking the students. So I think that it's needed, having that backup time,
sure.
but also schools knowing that they need to know that part, that it's not recording the entire, time that they're there. So if you don't have a secondary piece to, clock their hours, then the students are being penalized.
Yes, ma'am.
Because of the technology.
I would like to talk about your contingency plan. So the contingency plan that you have listed here says that administrators will oversee a teach-out coordination, that you will make sure that there's attendance recording in a cloud-based system, all of those things. But what we really need to see in a contingency plan is that these students have somewhere to go. If your building burned down or whatever the case might be, that there is somewhere that they could go. So we need you to make a contingency plan, meaning I've contacted another school, or these are a list of schools in your area that will accept your hours. We just need to make sure that there is a contingency. And while, yes, we hope that you will oversee the teach-out plan, they need to see what that looks like.
So at the moment, our contingency plan follows under Caviar Beauty Institute.
It's on
There-
page 538.
Okay.
I apologize. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess I didn't see the teach out because I was looking whenever it said contingency plan. Maybe put those two things closer together.
Okay.
So that it, that number, let's see, number 8, it could be number 8 and number 9, or, something like that, just so that those are
Yes,
very clear.
Under your tuition and fees, I know that it's not required, but I think that it's great that you all take their theory payment so that they can be scheduled before they leave. That's
Yes,
another
ma'am.
big gap. So,
We have to make sure that they
yes,
actually
and I
go.
love that. I appreciate that so much.
Yes, ma'am.
If there's no questions, I make a motion to move.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to accept this application. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Your application is approved. Congratulations.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Congratulations. And there were no changes, or did I miss something? I don't think so.
They're
Bring the-
going,
Oh, that
The contingency,
clarification on
the contingency and teach out, pull them
Yeah.
together.
yep, I think that was it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great job.
Great job. Thank you, members. Next, we have Georgia Career Institute, and this is a presentation from Ms. Lauren Davis. You've got this starting on page 540 on your iPads. Good morning, how are you?
That's all right. No big deal.
And what's your name? And members, Ms. Englund is also here to do the presentation. I will turn it over to you, Ms. Russell.
Welcome. Ms. England, would you like to tell us a bit about your school?
Hi, I will just do a brief introduction. I was here in June. Good to be back with the board again. Thank God it didn't rain on this hair on the way in. I left our June 2nd meeting about the conversation around asynchronous learning with a few questions from the board, understandably. We came back today to try and address those questions. We are certainly concerned about the future of cosmetology education in Tennessee and want to continue to move forward the ability to graduate as many students as possible. During the discussion, the board provided very clear guidance, identifying 3 key areas requesting.
I'm sorry, those participating online, someone's got their mic off. I think you're typing. If I could get you to make sure your mic is muted. Thank you.
Quick typer, whoever it was. During that discussion, the board provided very clear guidance, identifying 3 key areas, requesting that they be addressed in order to ensure integrity in theory education delivery. Encouraged by that clarity, I'm happy to be returning today as a consultant for a local school group that has built.
We can't hear.
I've never heard that in my life.
I'm sorry if you're not able to hear, but she does have her mic on. I'll ask her to speak a little bit louder. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, watch your ears. Okay. Encouraged by that clarity, I'm happy to be returning today as a consultant for a local school that has built its official distance education proposal with solutions that address specifically those 3 points. The proposal outlines a delivery model that has already proven effective for thousands of students across the United States, a fact that I can personally attest to through the success of my own clients and students in these states. To walk you through the specifics of this exciting program and to detail exactly how those 3 areas have been addressed, I would now like to introduce Lauren Davis, the Chief Operating Officer for Georgia Career Institute. There are also 2 individuals join us via Zoom. The first one, of course, you met in June. Her name is Karina Santoro. She's the director of Milady. She can speak to any direct SEMA concerns that we may not be able to address.
Excuse me, we cannot hear on our end.
I think the whole meeting is muted for some reason, is what they're saying in the chat.
Give us a second and we'll see why the meeting is muted. Hold on. Dana, can you hear me?
Test. No, that one's got a mute.
If you can hear me, we're working on it. Give us a second. Can you all hear me? Whoa.
Yes,
we can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Should I continue? Okay. Should I recap that? I think you got the gist. I'm not even sure where I am anymore, but on the phone via Zoom is, of course, Karina Santoro, the director of Milady, and then Lauren Davis, the COO of GCI, and then one more, legal counsel for GCI, Catherine Brody.
Thank you, Nikki, and thank you, members of the board, for your time and thoughtful engagement on this topic. My name is Lauren Davis. I'm the COO at Georgia Career Institute. We are incredibly proud of our history here in Tennessee. We have been operating and serving students since 2003, and our commitment has always been to provide the highest quality education possible. In 2020, the board graciously approved our institution for distance education delivery. While that approval did include asynchronous learning, we believe the most responsible and respectful path forward is to seek the board's explicit approval before implementing this modern approach. We have provided our complete proposal for review, and I'd like to briefly summarize the key components. Our proposal is built around industry best practices as well as 3 key areas of focus you identified during the June 2nd, 2025 board meeting, with safeguards designed to assure the high integrity of our program delivery. To address Ms. Russell's questions about academic integrity, we have embedded multiple safeguards for integrity. All final exams would be completed in person under the direct supervision of an instructor that eliminates any potential threats to public safety or incorrect procedural practices. Furthermore, the learning management system technology has mechanisms to ensure students are actively participating in the learning. For example, if a student disengages from an activity, the time clock automatically stops. This ensures the systems track, excuse me, I'm nervous, so I'm like, whew, trying to speak right. The system tracks and verifies actual seat time, preventing a student from advancing through a chapter in a short amount of time and being awarded a predetermined number of hours. It is tracking attendance just as if a student were physically on campus. To address Ms. Tinsley's points on supporting all learners, our proposal ensures that students are always being supported. Asynchronous delivery would only be used for theory, never for hands-on practical training that is the heart of our profession. Students would still be scheduled to be on campus every single day, Monday through Friday, to give them constant access to one-on-one support from their instructors. This also supports the board's previous concerns of 1 theory hour of theory class per day. And to address Mr. Martin's questions regarding regulatory compliance, our team conducted a thorough review of Tennessee's laws and rules. We were unable to find any regulation that would prohibit asynchronous delivery, nor were we able to identify any that would be in conflict with this proposal. This model is currently used in over 20 other states and has been fully approved by our national accrediting agency, COE, as well as the U.S. Department of Education, which demonstrates its ability to operate within established regulatory frameworks. This brings us as to why we are requesting asynchronous delivery option. While this board has already approved our institution for synchronous, we have found it to have some deficiencies, and we believe that asynchronous would offer a better educational experience for our student. Synchronous delivery through video conferencing struggles to truly capture student engagement in real time. An instructor cannot stop and tailor a lesson to each individual student, nor can they easily revisit a topic if one person doesn't understand without disrupting the flow of the whole class. Tracking attendance isn't very detailed. Normally, instructors do a roll call at the start and the end of a lecture, and furthermore, if a student is unable to attend live video conferencing, there is no simple way to offer that exact lecture a second time. Asynchronous would solve these fundamental challenges. It would allow students to learn at their own pace, revisit material if needed, and engage with the content when and how it is most effective for them. Attendance is being taken minute by minute for every student in real time, and student engagement with activities is being captured and recorded. This model empowers the instructor to move from being a lecturer to a true facilitator of learning. Students that are struggling can be easily identified. Instructors can work with them in person as needed to provide the extra support as needed. Your feedback from our last meeting was instrumental in shaping this proposal, and we are confident that the plan before you thoughtfully addresses each of the board's concerns. As a final point, I'd like to restate that our curriculum is already approved for distance learning. We are coming before you today to proactively seek your explicit approval. Our shared goal is to preserve the health and safety of consumers in Tennessee while also strengthening our industry and staying competitive with other states and professions. We believe our proposal offers a comprehensive and responsible and compliant method for achieving that goal. Therefore, we respectfully ask your approval to implement asynchronous delivery in the manner described in our proposal. Thank you.
Can you tell me how that you might verify a way of knowing who actually completed the assignments if it's asynchronous?
Sure. In an asynchronous format, they have login credentials. So Students are on campus Monday through Friday, and that original orientation, they're assigned a username and a password. So we verify who they are through that first day on enrollment. So they have their own credential logins where they log into the system.
So if they gave me their credentials to log in, could I take their complete their assignments for them?
I think, Ms. Karina, are you on the line?
I am.
Do you have any specific My Lady SEMA response?
So there's a couple things that I would say. Students are provided a unique username and password that is tied to one person and one email address. And the system has safeguards in place that do prevent simultaneous logons. So there, you could never have multiple people logging on using the same username and password at the same time. The system can also track users using their IP address so that you can really see, is someone logging in from a different location than where they exist? So there are safeguards in place using technology that ensure that the person who's logging on and doing the work is the person who received the username and password.
I have 2 small points to add, if I may. If Lauren gives me her login credentials to any account that she has, I can log into those accounts as well. That's just part of the digital age, so I appreciate that SEMA puts things into place to keep that from happening. The second point is they're going to fail that exam. They didn't do the work themselves, which will force them back through a tutoring system to redo that curriculum so that they can pass their exams as expected.
While I am happy to know that they can't log in twice or for multiple logins at the same time, the IP address does not really address the issue, because if your student were to come to East Tennessee and be visiting me, then it would say my IP address rather than theirs.
You're correct.
The other thing, if I could just add, I'm sorry, one more, this is Karina again, one more thing. The platform does also support multi-factor authentication, which if we turned it on, which can be turned on, and that would require that the student, when they log in, also receive their secure access code, on their device, which is that's what banking apps use. That's the most secure method of login that's used in the digital age across all industries to ensure identity.
Can you tell me what safeguards that you have in place against AI screen and management assist?
Specifically when tests are taking place?
So AI screen and management assist allows an AI to keep a system up and running. So if it says it's going to time out, then the AI would actually move or answer questions, whatever the case might be. So the screen assist would allow it to stay logged in regardless of if a student was actually sitting there. Are there safeguards in place to prevent AI screen management assisting?
There are safeguards in place that prevent students from using any of those kinds of technologies when they're taking exams. We have a technology called Safe Exam Browser that when it's activated, locks down the browser and nothing else can be added on. I would go to Nikki's point from when students are just doing studying and going through the different activities. If students are going to try to cheat, they're not going to learn the material. And then when they get assessed, it's going to be obvious they weren't actually doing the work.
So the AI screen management assist, if you're saying that the safeguard happens only when they're taking tests, they're only taking tests at the school, so the instructors could help manage that, but not while they're completing assignments. Is that correct?
It can be turned on for any quiz-related activities, even if they're assignments. So there, in the SEMA Learning Path, there's a pre-assessment that'll be 5 questions that will start to see what the student knows. And then as they go through every topic, there's regularly 5 and 10 question quizzes that pop up to just enable them to see how they're learning and assess what they're doing. It can be turned on for all of those. It's not going to be turned on if they're watching a video or looking at flashcards, but it can be turned on for any time when they're answering questions that would be assessing how they are learning the material.
So the answer to daily assignments, such as reading assignments, watching videos, the answer to that is no, correct?
Correct. I don't believe there's any platform that can turn that on.
Are there any safeguards in place to prevent chatbots from answering instructor questions?
Can you clarify instructor questions?
Sure. If you were to email a student or through any platform, ask a student a question by typing it into the computer, are there any safeguards to prevent chatbots from answering the questions?
I don't know if I can answer that completely because I'm not sure, but I'll say the students are on campus 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, normal hours. So in our specific proposal, it's 10 hours per week. So in those, they're testing on site. They are on site. So most communication with the student is on site through that Monday through Friday.
Your point is very well taken, Ms. Russell. I completely understand. I personally had to stand in front of 500 students and instructors and roll out online asynchronous education many years ago in other states. I will, however, say that the point of any education is to learn the skill, right? To learn how to put these extensions in my head and bleach these bangs. They will not do that without successfully passing their coursework and their tests. So your points are valid, and I wish I could say that we could buy technology to circumvent all of this, but I've had to terminate employees for downloading such things at Rundle. Anybody know what that is? So that I can track what my employees are doing. I wish that there were things like that that we could purchase. There's just not. And even when we do, they're going to come up with something else. Now, that's a really smart student to figure all that out. I wish I could do it sometimes. But again, the point of education is that they learn and they can demonstrate those hands-on and have a good understanding of that theory. And if they're passing those exams, and if they don't, they're going to get tutoring, again, on campus 5 days a week. So noted, 100%. And I think we all wish that their technology's dark side would outpace its good side, but I don't know that we'll ever be there.
Can you tell me how these tests are weighted that you would be giving on Friday? How is it weighted based on the weight of their hands-on skills or anything else? How do you weight those tests?
So we don't currently, the only tests that are weighted a little bit heavily are the ones that are preparing specifically for theory. So they have those state board prep that are typically the 100 question time. Those are weighted a little bit heavier. But other than that, the regular chapters are all carry the same weight.
So in theory, could I fail these tests that you're giving me? Could I fail these tests and my practical hands-on skill, would it offset it enough that I was still in a passing status?
No. So in our student management system, our lab grades, what we call them, practical grades and theory grades, are two different components.
So when you were turning in your monthly hours report, it said you turn in the hours that they have passed on average, correct?
Correct.
Based on the average. So what hours are you turning in? Is it all of them? Is it just their practical hours because that's what they were passing? Is it theory and practical combined created an average that would pass?
I can't answer that specific question as the campus director submits those reports, so I would not want to speak for her or out of line. But I can tell you that all the hours submitted are approved hours. So they are either verified through the instructor, through our clock management system and our student management system to meet those minimum GPA attendance and performance requirements. But I can definitely answer that post-board meeting from her specifically.
So I use one of these systems for teaching cosmetology, and having to go through the time reports, the engagement indicators, the learning overviews, the student activity log, all of these things, every single one of those have to be checked. And the system doesn't do a great job of just producing how many hours were how many hours were collected in all. There is one of these systems that is presented here that can have multiple logins at the same time, because I do it all of the time. I like to have multiple things. I have multiple computer screens running whenever I'm teaching a lecture class. In case a student has a question, then I know how to direct them. With that being said, if I'm logged in multiple locations, I'm also getting multiple hours given to me at the same time. I know this because I was trying to figure out how I was possibly working that many hours in a week, because it gave me my time, and I don't even work that many hours in a week. So the only thing, I was able to finally go back through and double check everything and realize that it was because I was logged in multiple locations at one time.
You're not referring to SEMA, I'm assuming, yeah. And to your point, you're exactly right. The reporting would show us a red flag for a student if that happened. It has not, but you get an output report that shows you the student's hours, and if things don't make sense, they don't make sense, and you question the student. And then, yes, you would have to get to the bottom of it a different way, which is possible.
And I will add that the Institute is committed to having designated personnel just for that purpose.
For me personally, and I feel like I'm pretty tech savvy. For me personally, I had to look at 6 different screens to double check all of those things, just to check one individual student. It takes me about 20 to 25 minutes per student to double check each one of those things. So you're going to have somebody that their specific job is just checking all students.
I can't speak for every institution, but for GCI specifically, they have a COO and a couple layers of middle management for that specific reason. Because to your point, while it adds efficiency, there are things administratively that DE brings to any organization. Some institutions end up deciding on a DE manager for those locations. I've had that happen. Usually it's handled by someone like a campus director, director of education, or someone in a position such as Lauren's.
Will this person also be logging into all of their activities, such as, I don't want to give away the
platform.
Yeah, I don't want to give away the platform, but there is something, it looks very similar to, let's say, a Facebook post. The students must make a Facebook post, reply to one another, and if they put anything in there, it's going to mark that as completed. And so on their student activity log, it will say this has been completed regardless of what they typed in. It doesn't even have to be cosmetology related. There is going to be someone there that is checking all of these and replying to those students.
There's an instructor assigned to every module that's opened. And to your point, that's happened to me as an instructor many times. And you do have to be diligent in monitoring your students' work to make sure those things don't happen, and then use your disciplinary policy accordingly.
Board members, do you have additional questions?
Ms. Russell, I have a question just for you in general about this. Are we getting a lot of requests from schools or from students who are wanting asynchronous learning? Like, are we losing students to our profession because of not having it?
I don't know of any students that have come to me specifically and said, I want asynchronous. The only people that I have talked to have been schools, and it has been presented multiple times. I am not, I know that it seems like, I'm just old and mean and I don't want to deal with technology. It's really not that. I really want to protect the public and ensure the public, in their case, are students. And I have a huge heart for students, and I want them to get their education. But there are so many hurdles that I still have problems with going into asynchronous education.
Ms. Russell, would you mind if I respond to that?
Sure. If I could for a second. So to the question that you had, I have not had one single student call and ask for this. That's not to say it couldn't happen tomorrow, not one. schools have asked for this consistently, especially the new schools, the smaller schools. Their documents start out with online, and I compare it to at 2 a.m, the student logging in and advancing versus virtually at 5 p.m, 10 a.m. with an instructor. So it's coming from the schools, at least at this point in time, to answer your question.
And I was gonna say the same as Ms. Roxana. I hear of a lot of schools, smaller schools, who want to use this basically because they can't afford another teacher. However, the students really aren't getting the help that they still need because the teacher isn't present. And does everyone have integrity? We know GCI is going to have integrity, but is everyone going to have integrity? You know, with the specialty schools, again, like I get the question all the time, well, why can't we do asynchronous? Why can't we do asynchronous? And then you ask, what are they doing? Well, I just tell them to go online because I don't have time. So why do you have a school? So we still, although we don't want to make it hard to the point where they aren't able to be successful and grow their schools, we still have to have some boundaries, some rules around it, to keep the integrity of our industry strong, because it is like, it's not as strong as it used to be, and it's a lot of the things that we are introducing, and that we are allowing, that's kind of making the water muddy. One of the things that I tell my students, the reason why they can't log on at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning is because if you have a schedule, I'm helping you learn your schedule now, right? So if you have a schedule, you say you're gonna work at the salon from 9 a.m. to 5, then this is your schedule. Like, you don't just get up all willy-nilly, get up and go when you want to, and then you need help and there's no one there to help, but you chose to go at 2 o'clock. Because of what we are teaching, these are like scheduling and being present at the time set. We're helping to groom the student to be a successful stylist or barber or salon owner. Do we entertain this in the future? Like, again, having all the things around it, because I know for me, I can't afford someone to come in and only clock all of the hours, read through all of the discussion questions and things of that nature. So how does that work and benefit for everyone?
I think that these platforms that they're using are wonderful resources. So it's not, and I agree, they have phenomenal information on them. They are wonderful resources when used in the proper manner. Not every student will cheat.
Yeah.
It's true. The ones who really want to do this will not cheat. They will do their work. But there are some, and probably quite a few, who will not complete these, who will figure out ways of using AI to complete assignments and to gain the hours. There is little hope at this point of controlling that. Those are my concerns. I'm not saying that these are the concerns of the entire board. These are my specific concerns that I'm questioning. Please, board members, anything that you have, be it for or against it, it doesn't matter. But if you've got questions about this, they need to be addressed. We won't always have schools with integrity. We won't always have students with integrity that are using these platforms in the correct manner. And so whatever we decide now could set the precedent moving forward.
Can I ask a question, Ms. Russell?
Sure.
Just a point of clarification, really. Every school that's approved in the state of Tennessee has outcomes to report, correct?
They do.
We meet those outcomes to keep our businesses healthy and moving forward. So I understand your points. I've had them all of them throughout my 20-year career in our space. But if we are held accountable to set outcomes, then that is how we ensure integrity moving forward. Because you're right, there are students that are going to cheat. There are institutions that are not going to spend the money or the management time to govern this like it should be governed. That is going to happen. Can't tell you that we can prevent that. The other thing is to answer your point, great one, about who is asking for asynchronous education. With all due respect, there are school owners that don't know what that word means. It's, the point that I'm going to make there is that I do run admissions teams for many institutions, smaller schools across the United States. That's a part of my background, and it's the student that's asking in that environment. Hundreds of students every month, we cannot enroll in a program in our space, the programs that are 20 to 30 hours a week hands-on, because they don't have time. You're never going to see that student call Roxana because they don't even understand they can do that. So to speak to that, I would say it's a firm yes for students that cannot afford to give 30 hours a week to come to school. It's still a big ask getting them there 5 days a week. To your point, I love it. I can't get executives to show up 5 days a week for 9 hours a day sometimes. But again, there's outcomes in place for a reason. Boards like this put those in place for a reason. And as long as we are held to that standard, nothing will ever fall through the cracks.
Well, my concern is what are we teaching them about our industry and on the front end of I mean, I don't know many salons or spas that are open at 2 a.m. for them to be able to be working at 2 a.m. Call me old school. I've been in this industry 30 years, and I think that we're doing a disservice to the students by not teaching them that. And I know a lot of it's the generations that we're in right now, but like that they need to come to school on our schedule and to some of that. I get that they're hybrid learning, and I understand that. I just would love to have some more data based on the benefit of them doing, it's just 10 hours asynchronously, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So how many more students does that actually gain our schools by offering them 10 hours? Because if they can't offer 10 hours to school, I'd be real concerned about them being able to give me 10 hours as an employee.
So the 10 hours, just to make a point, the 10 hours is on top of their Monday through Friday schedule or Monday. So if
Yours said on here that they were in school for what, 20 hours, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week?
Correct.
So 10 more hours is not even a 40-hour work week or
Correct.
school week for, I mean, there's a lot of kids who are in school for a lot more hours than that. There's a lot, I mean, that I just have concerns about what we're setting them up for as far as success in the industry later on.
Fully respect that, and we have no problem, gathering data, and if the board wants additional data, we will definitely see what we can do to provide that. I do want to make a point, in addition to that, we are an accredited school, so we have, conditions regulatory from our accreditor, Council on Occupational Education. We also have asynchronous requirements through Tennessee Higher Education Commission. So we have 2 regulatories that kind of set the tone for what asynchronous looks like. But I would be happy to provide additional information.
Yeah, I would just be interested to see how many more students we're gaining, how many of those are completing the program. I know I was here in June and heard, one of the talking points for it for like single moms who were trying. So if we're adding this for them, how many of them are completing the programs? How many of them are graduating? Are we adding this and then not getting outcomes as far as graduation, work placements, what that's looking like, and the actual value that it adds to our industry? Not just necessarily the value that it's adding just to the schools, but what value is it adding to the industry?
Yeah, so we believe that it reduces barriers to entry. We also have, sister states that we have watched and monitored, and part of this is, built on a different state that's working this, so we can pull outcome data from those states that are allowing this.
That's a good point. I can't get you data on that from the state of Tennessee, obviously, but nursing and get you data on that, right, as an example, but in other states, yes, ma'am.
And for the record, I love SEMA for personal reasons, and I do love the SEMA network, the detail of it. However, like if we approve this for your 10 hours and you also having them there 5 days a week, it turns into someone says, oh, it's approved, and I'm going to do however many other hours because they aren't accredited and they set their own rules. And that's just what we're kind of running into in our state. The integrity of it, and like I said, just trying to provide those safeguards for the student and their future clients and their future salon owners or where they work.
And I think what we would what would help us is to get that regulatory framework, because we have no problem meeting what the board requests. If we have specific framework that we're looking for to make sure those protections are in place, we'll definitely oblige.
Board members, what I can add in this wonderful conversation that you all are having, we don't have anything in law or rule that dictates, right? And so we also don't have a situation. It's fantastic to hear from a school that's accredited because they bring all perspectives into it, but our schools don't have to be accredited. So we have to take that into account. So if this is approved, I think to their point, we would set in rules exactly how this would work. And that would be the only way, as you saw today, in 13 schools. And this is after a lot of back and forth, and I still miss stuff. So that would be really up to you all to debate what should be set in rules so they have clear guidance and we know going forward what that is. Because we don't set parameters if schools have a huge failing rate, right? I mean, we can't then not let them renew if most of their students aren't passing after 4 attempts. There's just nothing out there. So for this in particular, I think the board would set down that criteria once you determine, and if what you need is some data from them, then we would work on rules pretty quickly to set that in motion. That's just something I wanted to put out there.
I also want to add, we have Catherine Brody, our legal counsel, on. And the reason we have Catherine here is because in the process of this, to clarify synchronous versus asynchronous, we had synchronous. We saw some shortcomings. I think I'm not alone with other schools where we saw some dip in some PSI testing rates. So we noticed that our students on a synchronous environment, 4 hours, it's hard for one person to be on a screen for 4 hours straight. You lose them. Engagement is hard. So that, prompted us to say, there's got to be a better option for this. So through research and connections, we found this model that we really, really like. But in that, I went back to our original board approval in the June 2020 board meeting. In that distance learning approval, we had synchronous and asynchronous, clearly outlined, and that was approved as presented. So part of today's presentation also includes that confusion, because we have reason to believe that there are schools out there that are doing asynchronous that were approved in a post-COVID time that leads confusion to the area.
I'm happy to speak more specifically to that point if you would like me to, Lauren.
Yes, please.
Thanks for having me. Great to see you. This is a very thoughtful and deliberative discussion on a very important topic, so I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words. My focus is really on process and making sure the institution is being treated fairly in this process and consistently. So I'm just going to go over 3 main issues I want to make sure that the board considers as it moves forward. The first is the status of the asynchronous prior approval from 2020. The institution did include asynchronous in its application along with synchronous, and that was approved back in 2020. So technically, this is an update to an application, and the board may have a different view of that, but we would love an explanation as to why that is not considered a prior approval of asynchronous. Secondly, we want to make sure that this is an area of innovation. There's a lot of change going on with technology, a lot of good questions being asked, but we want to make sure under Tennessee law, asynchronous programs are not prohibited, as was stated. There's been a lot of debate about that nationally. The Department of Education chose not to prohibit asynchronous clock hour programs, citing the innovation and change that was occurring with these types of programs. So we want to make sure that there isn't a desire to have a flat prohibition that's not in the law, and that proposals are looked at on the 4 squares of what's being presented, the responsibility of the institution, how they're going to offer the program, and the safeguards that are presented in the application itself. What gave us pause was in the June meeting of 2025, the chair did make a personal statement that she does not ever want to see asynchronous education approved by this body, which, that is a personal opinion, but we want to make sure that the process provides an opportunity for the institution to show that they can meet the objectives of the state law and protect students, and there is not just a blanket prohibition in mind here. Thirdly, one of the board members already spoke to it, but really there is a need for clear requirements in this area, should you move forward, to allow for responsible innovation, and that schools have an opportunity to respond to concerns rather than having to poke holes in things that are said at these types of meetings, that there really be clear guidance and regulation to guide the process and protect students. Finally, there is an accountability framework out there for accredited institutions that also participate in Title IV. If they don't do this right, they're going to lose their accreditation, their state licensing, and their participation in the aid program. So I think it's a balance of innovation and adherence to accountability. So we urge, focusing on process, making sure the process is fair for the institution and others. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, I can clarify one thing regarding the 2020 approval, and I'm happy to bring this back in December and show it to you since we don't have it, but it was brought to my attention that when they presented in 2020 that they had a statement for synchronous and asynchronous. It's I believe it was missed because this board has never approved any school that had asynchronous in their documentation, meaning at 2 a.m. hours allowed. It was very specific, so I don't believe it's just the current chair. I think that conversation has happened, but we might have missed it. So if the board members want to see that application, I'll be happy in December to present everything to you again. You can review it. I think that was just a missed item. I just wanted to clarify that, to not confuse and have anyone think that we would have approved one school and not others. I think you've always been very conscientious of, if you saw it there, you questioned what was meant by virtual, what was meant by online, and it was clarified. That's the only piece that I want to add. And again, I think Joe and I are more than happy to work on rules if the board members want to give us some guidance and start, but I'll turn it back over to you, Ms. Russell, for some guidance.
Can I add a comment to that? Is that okay? I just want to make a note that we went back and watched that June 2020 meeting date. And prior to our school presenting, there was another school presented, and there was very clear discussion. It's at the 1 hour mark to the 1:10 mark. There's very clear discussion of SEMA tracking. The school presented an option that was referred to wrong. They referred to it as asymmetrical, but it was actually asynchronous. So it was referred to a little bit differently. So I would also encourage the board members to go back and watch that June 2020 meeting at the 1 hour mark, because that also brought up concern, which gave us the thought that schools are doing this or may have been approved post-COVID confusion era. That was a very confusing time for all of us.
I would like to clarify that I will not say never, that asynchronous will never happen or that I would never vote to approve. I will need a lot of clarification and a lot more safeguards in place in order to gain my approval. So I just want to make that very clear, that I'm not saying no, never. I'm saying answer these questions, these things that keep me up at night. And the more that I go into studying AI, synchronous and asynchronous education, the more questions I have rather than the less. I had hoped that, I could come up with a way that, hey, maybe this would work, because, there are other industries that use it, and maybe this would be a way forward. But the more that I dig, the more questions that I have. And I just need more of these questions answered to ensure that I could make that decision to approve asynchronous education.
I think really just sitting back, I just wanted to listen today, just take it all in. But, they've done a great deal of work to try to get this thing passed. But I think on our end as a board, the framework, it just doesn't exist. We're writing on questions on laws that hadn't been updated. You know what I'm saying? So there are a lot of different areas that need to be addressed. I think this is the future. I don't necessarily agree with it. This is a hands-on industry, right? You need to be in the classroom in order to get the training to be in the shop and to learn soft skills. We speak a lot about soft skills, dealing with clients, dealing with day-to-day obstacles that arise in the barbershop or the salon every single day, and you just don't get that with this type of training. There's a lot of work that needs to be done on our end as a board before we can even look towards approving something like this, because this changes the landscape of our industry. It changes everything. You know what I'm saying? Education is the foundation of our industry. This is the foundation. This is where you learn what you need to know to be able to go out and make a living in this industry. So before we can even begin to even think about approving something like this, there's a lot of work that needs to be done right here, first and foremost, so that way they do have what they need, so that way they can come up and present and meet the criteria, and we say, yes, you're approved. But until then, we just don't have the foundation in place to be able to approve something like that. That's my opinion.
Members, I've got to be able to hear you. I'm sorry.
We need a motion among the board members to reconnect and study this and get the new laws and everything, and then meet with them. A motion to do that among the council or the board?
Let me stop real quick. So as the board knows, we don't create laws. We can work on
To study them,
rules.
yeah.
We can work on rules
Right.
that would dive into the curriculum. Maybe that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and the updated laws that have, yeah.
We
just
don't
need to
update the
study
laws.
them.
The
Yeah,
laws-
we just need to study more, right, to present to them.
It sounds like you're wanting maybe data from them. I
Right.
think data they can work on. And then maybe with the data, we work on rules, on what do those rules look like?
Yes.
Because the curriculum is set in our rules, so I think, right, we would have some leeway to, in rules, state what online asynchronous looks like. And that could definitely happen. That's what I'm gathering you all want, but you need to decide and guide us.
So that is definitely a need for us to clear up the lines in our rules, not the laws, because the law is already in place, and it gives us the opportunity to create the rules for those particular laws when it comes down to specialty schools or creating the rules around that. So that is something that, again, we need to do as a board. I wouldn't know how to move forward with making that motion because we hadn't done this before since I've been here. But definitely there's some lines that need to be cleared, some verbiage that needs to be cleared so that we can have a better understanding as a board, and we can put it in black and white for school owners, students, and future school owners.
So members, I think one key thing is, what, if anything, are we going to ask them to provide for us, since they are approved and offering it in other states? I think the data could come from them that we wouldn't have, if I'm correct. Back to Ms. Catherine Brody and her point, we want the process to be consistent. That's one thing this board has always tried to be. I'm not saying we've never made mistakes, but that is the way that this board functions. And so for consistency, at the December meeting, if we do have the data that the board wants, then we can have a whole topic designated to work on those rules. We've talked about rules for the specialty schools. And that way, where the curriculum lives, which is in the rules, we can work on that, and then Joe can make sure that it meets the laws and that we've crossed over all that. I don't know that we've got the topic on here, and that way, when we put it on the agenda as a topic that the board is working on for rules, we might have other schools participating virtually that we don't know their take, good or bad. And then, so that's a thought of what we can do, but I do believe we need information for you to take off on that conversation. Or is it just data you're looking for?
I don't know, would it start with the lawmakers? Like, because like in the rules and laws, you have definitions, right? So you don't even have the definition of synchronous and asynchronous in any of the laws, right? So wouldn't it start there?
Mr. Martin, there is no strict prohibition in our statute barring asynchronous education. So essentially, the board's consideration of protecting the public and the integrity of the industry have been that consideration. So essentially, with the way that the laws are currently set up, what we would do with asynchronous learning is completely up to you because there's no strict prohibition in statute at this time. Okay, so the board has essentially an open canvas. You would discuss it, and then essentially the decision would be yours and what regulations you would put in effect on paper to, address this matter moving forward in a consistent fashion.
So would that be something that we would do in a setting like this, or would this be something that we need to do like, have a set meeting? Because like I say, this is big though. This would be big. And this is something that I don't feel like that I could get done in a setting like this. This would need to be something a little different because this is something way different, so I wouldn't want to have to be rushed through this process of something of this magnitude, so I just need to know, what's the process?
So many years ago, we had committees because we presented 50 to 60 reciprocal applicants. You all haven't lived that era, so you don't know. But so we definitely had committees because the topics were so vast and we needed to dive in. So we're at a different point. But to your point, I think this topic is pretty big. We could set aside, hopefully the December meeting, if not February, an entire afternoon. And this is the setting. We're open to the public. We are transparent. Anyone can dial in. Anyone can come in person. It would be open at that level, I think, because to Joe's point is it's a blank canvas. You all get to decide what this looked like. Even when we rolled out virtual in 2020, and I believe it was in June, and talked about virtual, schools reached me immediately. What does that mean? How many hours? They wanted to be told exactly the percentage of synchronous virtual, and we didn't have that. It was at their discretion, being the experts in the industry. So if that makes sense, we could set aside at the December meeting, and I'm just picking on December because it's the next one, the entire afternoon. We get business done, we take a break, and we come back as a work group in this exact fashion with schools here, schools virtual, instructors. And then I think the big piece to take, since we're starting from zero, is what do you all as board members need in advance to come to the meeting with some ideas and questions and topics so that we can really get it done?
We move to table this, or?
So first off, let's give a list of things the information that we would like to know. So I'd like to see pass-fail ratios of traditional versus asynchronous taught students in other states. I would like to see actual records of the reports that have to be matched. So you mentioned in yours, time reports, engagement indicators, learner overview, student activity logs. So that whole list, I want to see the same students, the list from all of those, and how those hours were gained.
Can I ask a question about that? So we're currently not doing this. So I would have to partner with another institution that'd be willing to provide data for us. Would the board accept that data, removing all PII? Would the board accept that?
Redacted information is fine, as long as they can say student A to student A throughout. I would like to see clock in, clock out reports. I want to know your specific way that you would weight your assignments versus testing. So daily assignments, practical assignments, testing, how that might be weighted. And I'd like any information on if you are going to offer this to all students. Is that going to affect eligibility for different types of students, because I think that there are, I wonder if eligibility is going to come into play with synchronous versus asynchronous education.
Is that like referring to accessibility, like internet
Mhm.
resources? So our distance education policy in here does address that. And students, even if they are in an asynchronous format, if we have students that feel that they need additional resources, the institute is committed to providing those, whether it be, a library space on campus that they can come in and use our resources, but that is a point in there.
Okay.
But yes.
Potentially, because you're not doing this right now, those schools that are doing it in other states, how are they addressing accessibility concerns?
Similar ways, some schools provide a unit that is compatible with SEAM and Pivot Point, whatever the platform they're using. Some schools just simply keep a student learning center open for student use through entire business hours, not just cosmetology program hours.
I would also be interested in seeing some data for students who might have IEPs or learning disabilities and how the asynchronous learning has either had a positive or negative effect for those students.
Point taken. I'm not so sure that's going to be super easy for me to gather for confidentiality reasons, but I'll find a way to address your concern. Totally get it.
And then the distance learning piece, I hadn't worked in Title IV, Title IV school in quite some time, but that piece on distant learning, I know back in the day, there was a small percentage of hours that the school could use for distant learning, so that's what I took from, like, who will be eligible for it, like if it's the students that are receiving financial aid, would they be allowed to do it as well, the same percentage as a student in a private setting where it's not a percentage set.
Lastly, I would like to request any AI screen management assist and chatbot information that you might have, any safeguards that you might be able to locate that you can utilize for your school.
Sure. Can I ask just a clarification on IEPs? So we have found that IEPs are typically administrative in the public school setting. So in the post-secondary private world, we have no obligation to honor IEPs. So we really strict strongly in ADA. So I'll kind of revert that to ADA accommodations and leave the IEPs out if that's okay. Okay.
My concern is just students with learning disabilities, how are you accommodating with asynchronous learning? How are you supporting them? What resources do you have to offer them besides just saying good luck and they're on their own?
Absolutely. And I'll follow the ADA framework for this.
Perfect.
Could I ask a follow-up question about the distance learning piece? Are you, just to make sure I understand, in reference to receiving Title IV funding?
I was asking, is there still a minute, like, is there a percentage around that? Like, can you do 100% distant learning now? I know back in the day it was 10% distant learning, but I'm not for sure what the percentage is now.
Okay, so we'll provide our correct.
That the Department of Education allows.
Yes, ma'am. So what I can do is provide the accreditor asynchronous allowance, which is ours, the COE, Council on Occupational Education, and we can provide the Department of Education on that, as well as THEC, Tennessee Higher Education Commission. All three. A final question about the chatbot, Ms. Russell. You just wanting some type of program safeguard that will prevent chatbots from answering things on those proposed 10 hours, right?
Yes, and AI screen management assists preventing students from logging into an AI that then keeps them logged into whatever platform you're using.
Okay, so what I'll provide, we're a Google school, so we have Google Chromebooks for our students to use. And when you specifically have Google Chromebooks, you could have a safe browser that supports those safeguards. Now, what we'll work on the back end is implementation of what that means in asynchronous to a distance learner and how that looks. So I'll got it.
Are they required to use their Chromebook at home? So if they're asynchronous, can I use my own laptop to log in?
So currently in our current system, our Chromebooks are in-house, so they're kind of a checked in and out fashion. So when we move to asynchronous format, that will be a consideration. Yep. Or if we move, sorry.
Okay.
Members, if there are any other questions, I think we can definitely still go over them. If not, to get us to the legal report and everything else, I've made a note of the list. I know that Ms. Davis has as well. If you're comfortable with that, we would need a motion, and we won't reread the list, I promise. I've got it, she's got it, I would make sure that when you're emailed in advance, that whatever data, and it's going to be redacted, it's gonna be pretty much data, that you're sent that in advance of the meeting, and I may even send it a couple of weeks before the meeting. I know we fall right after Thanksgiving and so forth, but I'll make sure that you have it to review, just so that the meeting date, and I'm assuming that you do wanna address it in December if we get the data. And so that way we can have a meeting, get everything done, and then look at drafting rules that meet those things, and your questions are all answered. If that's the case, Ms. Russell, if you have anything else, otherwise we can entertain a motion.
Okay, so we will need a motion to approve or deny this application at this time.
And I interrupt you, it's not truly an application, I think it's their request, and so if I'm understanding it, it is a request for them to actually present more data to us?
Okay.
Is that?
Motion to request more data.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to request more data. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, we look forward to seeing your data.
Thank you.
And this will be presented in December, Ms. Davis. If you need anything else, just let me know.
Yes, ma'am, thank
Okay?
you.
Thank you, members. Before we go on to the legal report, we've got one more item. Members, if you're good, we'll continue. Does anyone need to take a break? No? Okay. On your iPads, the last item is Ms. Pamela Kibbe, and she is here in person. This is a continuing education request.
I am not Pamela Kibbe. I am Haley Woods. But hello, I am with Rocket Cert. Want to say thank you in advance for having me, and to Roxana for coordinating some of the materials and adding us to the agenda for today. So I am the Workforce Education Director at Rocket Cert. Also the course developer, kind of the LMS manager, and teaching methodologies SME, so I'm a catch-all.
Can I interrupt you for just a second? And members, you've got the presentation that was sent in advance. It starts on page 557. That is what you're reviewing. I'm not
Yes.
sure what you've got before you. What are you presenting?
This is the course.
Okay.
This is an online continuing education course.
Okay.
And
And I'll leave it up to you, members. Normally, it is what's been sent to me and what you have on your iPads. It's what you're reviewing. If you want to go ahead and look over the course online.
There is a login on page,
Yeah.
so I figured you guys might have your own devices, but I know you have the information pulled up on the iPad, so I just figured I would present up here. The course login. The outline is very long. Should be before the outline then. Oh, it is the 4th page of your document. So that login was provided ahead of time, and then I was told to come to the meeting just to showcase the capabilities of the course and kind of our, integrity software and how this works. So this would be for instructor CE online, but let me give you just an overview real quick about us. So I myself kind of oversee the online course as the Workforce Education Director. I have years of experience as an educator and in new teacher training. I've led some teaching methods PD, both school-wide and county-wide over in Wilson County when I used to live here. We are now located in Knoxville, Rocket Cert's office. So we are an online education provider for various professional licenses, including cosmetology, barber, esthetician, and instructor CE courses approved by over 15 different state boards. So our mission is basically to make learning accessible and engaging by providing courses in a self-paced and interactive environment relevant to the industry and help grow their professional career and practice in their own time. They have a full schedule already, so we want it to be very flexible for them. So I did see on the current provider list for 2025, there's many great in-person seminars for this education. But as we've seen today in the modern world, there can be very beneficial reasons to allow for, a flexible program. We've got unforeseen circumstances, life emergencies that may keep someone from said scheduled seminars. So our self-paced education just provides attendees an opportunity to revisit content at any time, review important concepts. They can stop and take thoughtful notes. They can take breaks at any time. And this includes both formative and summative assessment methods within the course. So I figured I would show you the course itself. I want to speak, I guess, first and foremost on the integrity portion, since that sounds like a major concern. As I have the course set up, because I didn't see specific requirements in the regulations for how to lock it out, basically the way it is right now, I'll show you on the screen. This is the student side. So as a student logs in, they'll kind of get a tutorial of how to navigate the platform. And then there's a spot for their information. This is all encrypted and secured in our database. So for roster reporting to the state, we would have first name, last name, their license number. It did say their social security number in the regulations that I read, but that can be removed or kept in depending on your preference. And then these 3 questions that you see on there, there's what's your favorite color, favorite ice cream, favorite movie or show. This is one example of our software that we have. Basically, I can set it throughout any duration in the course. If you want it to pop up every 10 minutes, if you want it to pop up every hour, it would verify their participation and that they are who they say they are based on these 3 security questions. However, I am gauging that maybe we want an extra layer of security. So I will show you what we have, and we use this for Ohio. Their Barber and Cosmetology Board requires this as well. So this might be something useful for other online providers to consider. We have, this is the admin side here. We have facial verification software that is, again, encrypted and secured. This is through Amazon's platform. So obviously a worldwide company that's trusted with technological capabilities. So what we do here is we can have 2 options. We can have just facial verification, or we can have an actual photo ID required before facial identification. So we can combine both. So they would need some sort of photo ID to hold at the camera. And then they would also, at any interval that you guys prefer, it would basically, the camera would just pop up. If it's not their face, it will lock them out, and they would have to call us in order to get unlocked. So we use this in other states. It works very well. Even if they leave to go to the bathroom for 20 minutes, they come back, they call us, they say, hey, I'm locked out. Will you let me back in? So we've seen great success with this. I kind of wanted to present that up front before showing you the actual course. So keep that in mind if you guys want that to show up every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, hour, 2 hours. We can kind of adjust that to the board standards. I know there's no set standard, but however you guys are comfortable with that, that is what our platform allows us to do. And then I will show you, here's just an example here of what it looks like. I know Roxana had mentioned online providers don't currently have any of them approved, but that we would need to show phone number. Oh, sorry, it's going to make me do actual things.
And I don't think that the members are, I know I wasn't expecting a full presentation.
Oh, okay.
Whatever you think is important to explain.
This is quick.
Okay.
This is quick. The last part is quick, so it's already asking me to verify upon login some of my things here. I just want to show you the one additional thing is that it is locked. So every presentation is completely narrated with closed captions and interactive components. So there's multiple choice, there's review activities, there's matching, things like that to keep it engaging. But you'll notice as a student, I am not able to open any part of this course until I complete the first one, which is fully timed. And I'll just open this one so you can see. So even if I try to click next, it'll block me. It'll say you have to view this slide. So they're completely timed out. It's not going to let anybody progress forward at any point in the course until the previous lesson is complete. It is narrated. I just have it muted. I didn't want it to blast in our ears. And then we also have like report problem in the top. So if somebody has a question or they see an error on anything, they can send that into our team. And then I'll show you, I also added at the very end, so there's formative assessments throughout there where they can participate in some of those engaging activities. The outline is provided in the document that you guys have as far as the content of the course, but then there is a final quiz that requires a 70% to pass. They can retake it, and it'll tell them some of the sections that they can reference back if they want to go back and restudy. But this is just an extra kind of verification that they're comprehending, the material and getting a better understanding for the professional education that we want them to get. So I know that was very quick, and I was hoping I made that clear that we were an online continuing education provider when I was originally talking with Roxana, but I apologize if that was not clear in the application itself. But I'm happy to touch on or answer any questions regarding, the integrity of the course, the content of the course, the student side of that, anything you guys have.
So I will pose two of the same questions to this course. By the way, the outline looks awesome, the things that they would be taught, very beneficial to the students. But what AI Screen Management Assist and Chatbot would prevent it from telling you that strawberry is my favorite ice cream.
That is correct. That's why I proposed, well, actually the pop-up window is not set through the browser. It's an additional pop-up window, so I don't think anything that is browser-specific AI bots would be able to read that and respond in there just the way that it's set up. It's kind of encrypted. However, we can turn off those questions and switch on the facial verification just for that added layer of security. So that can be with an ID or just with their facial verification or both. So that would be in lieu of the questions, favorite color, etc. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Is this set to recognize a world clock or a computer system clock?
That would be a developer question. It should be attuned. It's on any browser that they're using, so it should be just clocking with them. But our LMS is Joomla LMS, so it logs basically time login, and then the presentations are all locked and gated, so there's no way to manipulate the time there. Is that answering your question?
Kind of.
Okay.
But manipulation of the time is one of the ways to move myself past these videos.
Correct.
Is manipulating time. So my question is safeguards for manipulating the
Yes.
time.
So they are through so a PowerPoint add-on called iSpring. And so what it is it's locked and gated. So no matter what keyboard shortcut or clicking the next button, it will prevent that student from progressing. No matter what they're doing on their computer, no matter what software they have, there's no way to fast forward through the presentation, and that's through the iSpring software. So that's a pretty widely used kind of LMS content development platform. So you'll notice when I open it, the time clock at the bottom is what is actually progressing through. You'll see towards the bottom left, it is counting starting from when the presentation begins. And there is narration that's going through. But see how it says 12 minutes and 30 seconds, and then it's not letting you navigate or on my
So
keyboard.
one of the systems that I've used before had the same, the counting of the clock, and I was able to manipulate the clock on my actual computer that then made this think it was 12 minutes and 30 seconds later. And so I was able to then skip to next.
Yeah, there's, you're saying like using your keyboard, using the keyboard arrows?
So by opening the settings to my computer while being in this software.
Correct. This window that pops up, that's an additional window on top of the browser, is its own part of the software. So it basically is an XAPI lesson that's not going to be changed or reformatted by any sort of computer program that's installed.
And I get what you're saying, Becky, because I used to get extra Candy Crush coins by fast forwarding my clock. I was like 3 years ahead of 2022. I was already in 2025, so I get what you're saying.
Yes,
So,
it is completely,
Yeah.
fully secured and gated and locked down. This is, we work in other industries as well, with over 30 state boards who have the same concerns. And this platform itself and the way that the lesson is published is fully gated and locked down and unable to basically be bamboozled.
I definitely love the face recognition.
Yeah.
It's what PSI uses
It's
for
great.
the online testing.
Yeah.
And it cannot be fooled.
Yeah.
And they require us to do facial recognition and the ID, so I do appreciate that part. On the part where you said like that you can report an issue or something.
Yeah, let me show you.
So on that part, although it's online, is a physical person still present?
Yes, so we have a full education team, myself being part of it. So you'll see on the screen there's two options. It can either be education or instructor support. So if you're like, hey, this quiz question, the answer should be B, but it's showing A, you can report that. If you're like, I'm not understanding what this content is saying, can you guys maybe call me and re-explain? And then the second option there is technical support. So if for some reason you're not able to click the next button or something is not working, typically that's user error. They're just not using their computer right, which is fine. We're happy to help. We are in the office Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then we also have throughout the weekend and off hours, we'll have instructor support. So that's just one person maintaining. If somebody gets locked out, we'll reopen it for them. So typically within 24 hours, we respond, business days, we'll respond to any of those instructor support questions. They can be escalated to the actual instructor if it's something very specific about the content or compliance. Otherwise, our education team can handle kind of the technical support and navigation stuff.
So it would be asynchronous?
It is asynchronous, yes.
Okay.
Yep, and it's self-paced so that they can start and stop as needed, so they can take as many breaks as they need. If they only have 1 hour in the evenings, to dedicate it to it because of their full schedule and family life, pretty flexible for allowing them to complete it at their own time.
This educational and instructor support, the folks who answer those questions, what are their credentials?
Yeah, so a lot of them, we have a large portion of our team are more construction-based. I am the workforce side, so that includes cosmetology, barber, esthetician, instructor. We also do a little bit of food and beverage and other industries. There's two of us. We're a pretty small team. We're about 14 people. We all work in the office. We answer everybody for all of our courses. So that is myself and then my coworker, John. So we will typically handle any of this specific course. But the technical support, we've all been working there for a couple of years. Very tech savvy. We're all education background people. So former teachers like myself, things like that. I'm not sure if that addresses your question. Do you mean more on the technical side or
I think that
on
I
the
was
content
thinking,
side?
if I have a specific question that is related to cosmetology
Yes.
and cosmetology law and how that it is affected or whatever, at 2:00 in the morning, I have this
Yep.
question. Are you going to answer the phone and speak to me specifically about my industry?
Good question. So phone lines are 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time during the week. So we would Basically, these would come through as emails in our ticket system. And so the very first thing in the morning, our number one priority is these tickets. That's the first thing we do every single day, along with we do daily reports to the state board. So if somebody completed it at 11:59 p.m. last night, you're going to receive a roster email from us the very next morning. Here's the completion, here's all their information, a copy of their certificate if you want it. So that's our first priority every morning. We also have, our owner is in-house as well, so he will help anything that is beyond our content knowledge. But things that are specific to laws, we can delegate to the board if they want a specific answer, or we will pull up the laws and rules documents ourselves and specifically reference those. That's kind of what we do all day, is compliance and applications and ensuring that we are only giving answers according to state board laws and rules. But as far as the content of it, so if it's a cosmetology content specific question, we have Pamela Kibbe is kind of our instructor. She is off-site because she is a cosmetology instructor herself. So we can redirect any very specific content questions to her. We also have a team of subject matter experts that help write the course content. So we have a licensed esthetician and a licensed cosmetologist that also help with the actual writing of a lot of the content. I did a lot of the teaching methodologies because I have my master's in curriculum and instruction. So I'm very well versed in that and leading that type of development. But anything specific to those industries, we can redirect to them and get back to the student as soon as possible.
Yeah, that was one of the things that she said, that if it's a specific question, that they would forward it to an educator within 24 to 48 hours?
The next business day
Okay.
in the morning, yeah. We typically say we'll get back to them within 24 hours if it's a business day. As far as a question, but they can call in and get immediate support during our office hours. They would just ask for the education team and one of us would pick up the phone.
So there will be support, like technical support, not necessarily education support.
Yeah, so we use, our platform for tickets and customer support is called Zoho. They have a platform called Zoho Assist. So if a student is really struggling with the technical side of it, they're not sure how to get the next lesson to come up, we can actually they can share their screen on Zoho Assist. We send them a quick email, they can share their screen, we can say, okay, we'll walk them through how to navigate it. That doesn't come up very often. It's a very easy platform, very student-friendly platform to use, but that's kind of extenuating circumstance. We do have the capability to see their screen. If they're not able to access something or they need some walkthrough, we're able to do that. Kind of hands-on, but virtually, yeah.
Members, just a couple of things on we've done online continuing education before. It didn't go well. Their material looks very good. Their method for tracking looks good. To Ms. Turner's point, there's some good checks and balances here. It's at your discretion to approve this. It is for our instructors. Roughly, we have 1,600 to 1,700 instructors. That's all. They're the only ones that have mandated continuing education requirements, 16 hours. And so the way it's written, it isn't just certain courses, it's actually a certain number of time, and that's where the previous system failed, is with the hours, and Ms. Russell was here when we had to go through that. So you would be approving this course. I would definitely have to work on how the board would get the list of who completed it, because we just can't get random hours. We have to get when the 16 hours are finished. And the only concern, which is something we dealt with the previous one, is to make sure that our instructors complete the 16 hours before they expire, because once they've expired, they've got a test. And so we don't want to see anyone in that situation. So we would be working closely to make sure that that isn't the case, that instructors understand, even though it's great to log in at 2 in the morning and do it, you have 2 days to do it, right? It has to be done before they expire or they're in a bad situation. So those parameters we can work on, but if you approve it or decide to, whatever the debate is, it would be a new provider to offer this without really a set date. At the December meeting, you'll be approving all the providers that are presenting at the same time, and most of them, with the exception of one, all do virtual hours, so they're all doing online, at the same time where the instructors are on Zoom, I think is what everybody's using. So they have specific dates. This particular course wouldn't have dates. It would be approved with that open profile, and then we'd have to work out how the board gets their evaluations, which are required in the rules, and then their hours.
And could I add one more note on there? The reporting, they don't get a certificate of completion until the moment the final quiz is passed. So there's no reporting of any hours besides 16 with this platform. So we wouldn't be sending in 14, 15. So they would have their dated certificate on that date of completion as long as it's done before 11:59. And then we do this with a lot of states. We'd send in like a roster. I put a sample roster. I'm not sure if it made it in the application packet because it's not really applicable to your review. But the licensee information, the date that they completed, the full 16 hours, nothing less. So then you would know that they've completed on the appropriate date. Thank you.
And the date's kind of up to them, right? So yeah, that's the only concern. And that's where the social comes in. We do need the roster with the social and the evaluation, so I'll turn
I
it over
think
to you.
Milady offers, Milady and other courses, they offer some CEUs, like 2 hours here, 4 hours there. Yeah, so is it required for, in Tennessee, for them to have just those 2 days, 8 hours per day? Or if they could just have the 16 hours completed before their license, before it's time to renew?
So you must complete 16 hours of an approved course. So Milady would have to ask us to approve it, just
Right,
like they are. And it's within your renewal cycle.
Yes,
So if you
okay.
expire October 31st, you need to get 16 before then.
Yes.
However you get it. But you've got 2 years to do that. So
Yeah.
I will let the members decide how to proceed, and we will move on.
Hey, wouldn't this kind of fall into the category, what we were just talking about? Because this is totally online, right? No, that's not proctored at all.
It is. It's post-licensure, though, so just for renewal purposes, not
Gotcha.
for, there's no mandated assessment requirements or anything like that that I could tell. But I did add the final quiz just for extra integrity purposes.
Yeah, so this might be something that, this is just my opinion now. This might be something that we talk about along with the other piece. It all needs to flow together, right? We don't leave any stone unturned because we're about to embark on something that we haven't done before come December, So just taking that into consideration.
I do want to say, Roxanna did point out there has been a previous online provider approved. There was just not a good gated system for the time lockdown. So this,
Well, we don't want you to fail.
correct, we will not.
And the heartache there was for the instructors, more so than for the board and the instructors, because
Yeah.
we had to withhold their licenses. We had to give them an additional year. It was a nightmare. So it wasn't for the provider as much as it was for us in the office and the instructors, so.
Right.
But it was done, yes.
And so just saying though, that way we don't fail, that way we can lay things out and roll something out that works for everybody, that we don't have to go back and do a lot of back and forth. Now, it's a lot of work for us as a board, but, yeah, I think that would be my motion, would be to take a look at this in December when we do the other piece too, just to make sure everything flows together, if that works.
I have a quick question. Is this username and password going to be available until the next meeting, like where we could get on there? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, there's no limit on who can use that login. And I will keep the facial verification off for the time being, just so nobody gets, stopped by that. And I can also turn off the questions just so, unless you guys want to see that functionality, but it sounds like we're replacing with facial verification. I do think that this could be, I'm happy to come back and speak on this again. I just think this could be categorized a little bit separately. We are not an accredited school. We are not looking to obtain any of that sort of, standard. So I think for continuing education purposes, I would hope it could be seen a little bit separately. We're just trying to make it, convenient for those currently licensed instructors who have already done all of their hard work, and we just want them to enhance their teaching methods so that they can better teach students. I just wanted to point that out.
And members, this is an actual application to be approved as a provider. So if we don't approve them, it would be a motion to not necessarily deny, but or have them re-present it December with whatever we're asking for, as opposed to right? So they would have to know. And maybe the motion, or Ms. Lane's point is, to have them represent in December once you all test the system. I'll leave that up to you. The last time we did it, we had several members test the system and not mean to break it, and so they did 16 hours of testing. I don't know how many of you have 16 hours to just donate like that, but it was a lot. But so I'd leave it up to you, but this is an actual request to approve them to offer CE starting, as of the next 2026 session.
So I'll make a motion to represent in December.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to represent in December once the state board members have had time to research using this login. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you so much.
And can I ask a follow-up question? I am able to make 15 unique logins if you would also like accessibility to the facial verification. And I don't know if I'm misunderstanding is if there's any other additions or addendums that I should make on my end, or if you just need more time to review.
I'm not very techie, so I was just gonna see if I could screw it up.
Okay, yes.
Yep, and for me, just reviewing it because I
Okay,
think it's.
the content and the
Yeah.
accessibility. Okay,
Yes.
so I'll leave facial verification off. I will turn off the security questions just so they don't bug you. But yeah, call our number if you have any questions or want to talk about it. I will be there to answer you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Members, again, I'll pose, do you want to take a quick break? We've got the legal report. We do have a presentation that has to be done once a year, and then just 2 other business items. Do we want to, Ms.
Yes,
Russell?
please.
Okay, so it is 10 minutes to 12. Why don't we take a 10-minute break? And then we do have quorum if anybody did need to leave between 12 and 1, but let me know just to make sure we have quorum. So we will just pause. Thank you.
Are you all gonna answer the chat questions?
We will with new business at the end.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Members, if you're okay, we'll get back on the record. Thank you. And we are going to hop over to the legal report for our new members. It's been a busy meeting. I appreciate everything that you're going through and listening to. On your iPads, you need to tap it a certain way just to switch from the presentation to the legal report. Let me know, and I'm happy to help you switch.
Good morning, Board.
And this is our attorney. I apologize. Michael Underhill.
I'm
is
Mike
our legal
Underhill,
counsel.
your attorney. We have 6 represents. We have 125 cases total, 6 represents, 17 Barber cases, 102 Cosmetology cases. Before I open it up to questions, and I guess with 125 cases, we probably need about a good hour to go over all those recommendations. I do have 2 items that I need to bring to the board's attention. On item number 65, I did receive a response, and it is my understanding that this person does possess an individual license. In the response, they did not address the unlicensed home shop. So what I would do is maybe amend that letter of warning to a shop licensor only type recommendation. And then on case number 101, we have this continuing situation that we keep talking about. As you can see from the previous disciplinary history, there was a 2023 violation for 1 unlicensed individual, a $1,000 civil penalty. Now we have a second offense where multiple people go out the back door. I think the verbiage used by the inspector, they ran out the back door. However, we were able to get a picture of 1 unlicensed individual that was still working on a client. I will defer to the board on this, but my recommendation based under that scenario would be revocation. But if the board feels like we need to have a third instance in order to revoke, obviously I will defer to the board's judgment on that. That's why my recommendation is such, but obviously, the board gets the final say. So with all that being said, if there are any questions about the recommendations, I will do my best to answer them.
Board members, while we're on 101, let's go ahead and think about that. And if you are happy with the recommendation, I'm personally happy with this recommendation for revocation, but I wanted to make sure that we're all in agreement before we move on and forget about this particular case. Everybody's happy with that recommendation? Okay. All right. We'll open the floor for any questions. I noticed, Joe, this time that there were multiple, I'm sorry, Mike, there were multiple complaints that were being pursued through other avenues, and I hate that we're having those. I mean, everyone contacts the board assuming that we can help out with those things, and we just can't. And when money is stolen or deposits are not returned and all those things, but it seems like that is something that just keeps appearing more and more with each time that we're seeing this. So I hope that consumers are going through the correct avenues to get their money back or whatever the case might be. Number 96, Roxana, I thought you might be able to help with a clarification on this particular one. The student completed their.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. My name is on that board, and I don't want folks to think they talking about my school. My name is on your board. Please take my name down. I'm sorry, but I just had to say that.
I think
I'm going to see if this will fix it.
Thank you,
because
Dana.
I'm speaking now, so I think that this may
Thank
fix
you.
it.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Russell.
The name that's on the board is just the last person that was speaking,
Spoke,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I understand that, but other people, it get crazy.
Dana, if you could go ahead and speak again, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Russell.
Okay, case number 96, a student graduated from the school and they can't take their state board exam or through PSI without resubmitting a payment. Is there a way for them to go through the board, for the board office to put them through for examination?
And that's what happens.
Okay.
And so we closed it because there was an easier way to resolve it. And
Okay.
yes, they would
I just wanted to make sure that the student was aware that the board
Absolutely.
office could do that.
Can put them into test. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect.
We received 10 students call our school to see if we can put them through it. So we were able to connect them with an email that Jessica provided for us. At some schools that they're charging or saying that they have to go back to school in order to re-upload them to PSI. So we've been received, like at this current time, it was 10 at one, so I'm guessing it was a class. But the school is no longer open.
Okay, so that's the key. Other schools really shouldn't be putting in students that didn't
Right.
go to school at their school, right? You have no way of knowing what the situation was, if they passed, if they had any of that. If a school is closed, they are supposed to come to us. They fill out an application to test that has no fee associated. We verify they are who they are. We find their hours and we put them into test.
Okay.
So it could be that, I'm not sure why they went to your school, but they would normally be coming to us. So
Well,
hopefully.
the owner referred them to us,
Yeah.
and she's still in contact with them, but we did
Good.
connect them with
Rectify
Jessica.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Every
Thank
now and again, we might get somebody that's looking for test prep that might fall under that category, but it's like she said, I'll never put anybody else's information in, but I that's good because I needed to hear that because like I say, we get students a lot that need the prep, but the school is closed, the previous school is closed, and so just kind of knowing how to handle that. So yeah, good information.
And board, I will contact this person directly and put them in touch with Roxana, just
Thank you.
as a practical.
Case number 108, I thought that it was unusual that there were this many expired licenses in one shop. I mean, we typically see one expired license in the shop, and they renew or whatever, but that it was so unusual to see that many expired licenses in one shop. Is there any more information or?
No, I basically just took that information off of the notice of violation.
That was just an unusual one that I hadn't seen before.
Well, personally, I wish all three of them would have renewed. It would have made it a little bit easier on my recommendations, but two out of three wasn't bad.
Can't have everything. That's all the questions that I had. You all take your time and ask your questions.
I got a question, not necessarily something in here, but just a general question for like the apprenticeship situation. So,
Joe, you want to take that one?
an inspector goes into a shop that has, the supposed to be a licensed supervising professional. Is that, well, I guess I kind of answered my own question. That is something that the inspectors are actively looking for, and the inspectors know beforehand when they get to the shop, this is a shop that's supposed to have apprenticeship barbers in the shop.
That's a really good question. So again, remember that the laws really don't identify the shop as being responsible. It's the one person, right? The supervising professional. So the supervising professional must have a log of the hours available for the field inspector. So when we go in, we're looking for licensed activities, sanitation, all those wonderful things. But if there's a student working there, then we're looking for the log of hours that show how many hours and who their professional is. And that supervising professional would be there with the student. Does that answer your question?
That answers the question, just because we're seeing, every meeting, we're seeing more and more and more and more apprenticeship programs come through, and now you see, you got a whole school full of apprenticeship students. I even heard there was one school that had over 100 students. But you have all these apprenticeship students going out, but you only got 2 licensed supervising professionals on file. So that, the math, it just isn't mathing, really, honestly, when it comes to that. Where are all these students going to end up? You know what I'm saying? That's my question. And then too, I don't know, just the inspection part of it, is important, is key to that, I think, just making sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing with these students.
You are correct. And keep in mind, we've got rules in the pipeline, and Joe will give us a quick update on those, where we changed the one-on-one relationship so that you can take more. But in reality, as long as you're supervising one student at a time, if you worked 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, I guess you could on separate days have different students, right? But in the shop, at that moment in time, you've only got one student as the rules stand right now. When they go into effect with it opening up to possibly up to 3, it would change, but, yeah. Thank you. All right.
And Chairperson Russell, since I do have that one change, it would be a motion to adopt as amended.
Are there any further questions?
Motion to approve.
So we need a motion to adopt as amended.
A motion to adopt as amended.
Second.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion to adopt as amended. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, members. You can switch back to your presentation, but I'm going to leave it with legal. Our attorney, Joe Wordham, is going to go ahead and do a couple of items here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members. I believe that's the very first time I've ever gotten to say that. First off, I want to give an update on the rules. It's been a long journey. I appreciate all of your work over the last year. I hope you got the e-notification issued by the department last week. Our rules will be effective Christmas Eve. So we beat Santa by 1 hour, so we'll take it. So that's the good update on the rules. I don't have any legislative updates for you, and then we'll talk about the letter. New business. Okay. All right, so that's all I got for you now. Be in touch. All right, let's do the sunshine presentation.
So for many of you that are new, this will be the first time Joe's going to do our sunshine presentation that is supposed to be once a year. I don't think we always get it done each year, but.
I don't think we did it last year. We'll be doing it annually moving forward. This information should be familiar to all of you as we discussed it during your orientation meeting when you joined the board. So we'll go ahead and let me share my screen.
No, you're going to see it on, Joe's going to have it on the projector.
There we go. There we go. Okay. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. A little play on words here. We're talking about the Sunshine Act and Open Meetings Act in Tennessee. This disclaimer on this PowerPoint that we're about to go over, the information is general guidance. This is not a one-on-one legal consultation where I'm giving you direct advice on your specific circumstances. Also understand that laws update from time to time, and it's a moving atmosphere with changes. So there may theoretically be information contained in this PowerPoint that is outdated by a new law, and the department is not making any statements, omissions, and errors on that information, and that the PowerPoint may contain information that way, so we can't claim that all the information is accurate at this time. All right, Public Records Act, this is 107-501. What is included in public records for a board? It's the documents and papers of the board, the official documents, videos of our meetings, and then electronic data like licensing numbers, applications, anything received by licensees. The public is allowed to access that information in order for the board to be transparent to our constituents, and our constituents are obviously the citizens of Tennessee. What isn't included as far as public records go are devices that we hold those public records on. Sorry, I cannot speak. So the iPads in front of you, that is not considered a public record, but obviously the board documents that we put on it for each meeting are. Next, we're going to go over the big one. This is the Open Meetings Act. The Open Meetings Act essentially allows the public to have access to all of the board discussions. You are working for the public, so the public should have access to our meetings. It's why how we record them digitally and allow the public an open comment period. We're going to go over what the Open Meeting Act requires and then what is specifically required or defined as a meeting. The General Assembly hereby declares it to be the policy in this state that the formation of public policy and decisions is public business and should not be conducted in secret. So essentially, when the board is put in a position that it is reviewing factual circumstances and going to make a decision moving forward, that is included as a public open meeting. This part should not be construed to limit any of the rights and privileges obtained and the Constitution of the Tennessee. So essentially, if you were to meet with an attorney or have private information. The goal of the act is, as I previously mentioned, to promote openness and accountability in the government and to make sure that the public is aware of what we're doing and why we are doing it. Let's define what a governing body is. The members of any public body which consists of 2 or more members with the authority to make decisions for or recommendations to a public body on policy or administration. The Open Meetings Act applies to all Tennessee boards and commissions, which is obviously why we're going over it today. It applies to every meeting held by the board. And then let's define what a meeting is. Means the convening of a governing body of a public body for which a quorum is required in order to make a decision or to deliberate toward a decision on any matter. What is not a meeting? A meeting does not include any on-site inspection of any project or program. And essentially, it would be official business. So if the government or the governor was reviewing the department and the board, his investigation and review of our procedures and actions would not be considered an open meeting. A meeting does not include a chance meeting between two members of the board. We discussed this during your orientation meetings. If you guys were to see each other in public, hey, how are you doing? That is not a meeting or official business of the board. If you were to begin discussing matters that come before you in your role as a board member, that is where you may be initiating a meeting as defined by the law and then would fall within the Open Meeting Act. And obviously, I doubt you gave any notice of that meeting beforehand, and therefore you would be in violation of the statute. Lunch breaks, restroom breaks, smoke breaks, recesses. I hope you guys get recesses. I do not. I miss those days. Those are all not meetings. There is one exception to the Open Meeting Act. That is in an executive session. Executive sessions occur when one or more members meet with the board's attorney and the board is under lawsuit or has been threatened with lawsuit, and the members ask their attorney questions related to such a suit. So this is essentially the equivalent of attorney-client confidentiality. If you were talking as a board member to your legal counsel, you are entitled to have those discussions about your case or any issues with your case held in confidentiality, so that would not be deemed an open meeting. Again, if you email anything regarding the agenda, that's going to be considered an open meeting, not just small talk between the two of you. You're saying I'd like something to be included on the next agenda, that isn't constituted an open meeting because that's your opinion. If the agenda has already been issued, and let's say we're going to be talking about XYZ Cosmo School, you cannot say, hey, did you see that information about XYZ Cosmo School? So really this is like saying, hey, I as a human being would like us to discuss this as an official body, not something posted on the agenda. All right, so meeting. Let's talk about attendance. Here we go. What if one or more members cannot attend a meeting in person? The absent member may participate electronically, but all votes must be roll call votes. That is so the public may know how any given commissioner voted on each issue. Additionally, the governing body must ensure members are identifiable by name to the public throughout the duration of the meeting. The Tennessee Code was recently amended to allow you all to attend virtually. These two statutes are in front of us here. A member of the governing body participating in a meeting by electronic means of communication is considered physically present at the meeting for the purposes of voting and for purposes of establishing a quorum. A governing body shall meet with a quorum physically present no less than once per calendar year. If more than 2 consecutive calendar years elapse without a physical quorum occurred, the governing body shall send a report to the Secretary of State. The Open Meeting Act is to be construed broadly in favor of the public. Obviously, the point of the act is to make sure the public is aware of a government body's actions. The public has the right to attend, observe, and make comment at your meetings, as we have seen today. Public comment is to be permitted at each meeting and is limited to items listed on the agenda. There's a 3-pronged test for whether or not we've issued adequate public notice of an open meeting. The first test is the contents of the notice must be must reasonably describe the purpose of the meeting or the proposed action to be taken. The second prong, notice must be posted at a time sufficiently in advance of the actual meeting to give citizens both an opportunity to become aware of and to attend the meeting. We vote on our meetings once a year, the year before, and then post them on our website. And then adequate public notice. Notice must be posted in a location where a member of the community could become aware of such notice, and that is why we post it on our program-specific webpage. Posting a notice online to meet the adequate public notice requirements of the Open Meeting Act is contingent on facts and circumstances beyond whether the location would be one where the members of the community could become aware of the notice. The three-pronged test for adequate public notice. Whether public notice is adequate is in all the facts and circumstances analysis, and no single factor is dispositive. If we do not get sufficient notice of an open meeting, anything done officially by the board at that meeting that was not properly notified will be null and void, and the moving party that seeks to have those actions deemed null and void by a violation of the Open Meetings Act can also seek to have their costs and attorney fees paid by the board if they're successful in their action. In a nutshell, the Open Meeting Act is designed to make sure all board business is conducted in a way that the public is aware of. It applies to all of you as board members. And make sure that you just keep aware of that as you go about your life. Once again, you are allowed to interact as individuals, but please do not discuss any board business unless we are in an official meeting. All right, next topic is the North Carolina Board of Dental Examiners versus FTC. There were 47 cease and desist orders issued to individuals that were doing teeth whitening in the state of North Carolina by the dental board. The dental board essentially stated that that service fell within the definition of dentistry and essentially issued cease and desist orders to these individuals to prevent them moving forward. The Supreme Court rejected the board's action against those individuals, saying the board did not receive active supervision by the state when it interpreted the act as addressing teeth whitening, and essentially that these dentists and the board were acting in an anti-competitive nature, and that they were extending their statute past what was the authority given to them. What is active state supervision? The inquiry regarding active supervision is flexible and context dependent. Active supervision need not entail day-to-day involvement in an agency's operations or micromanagement of its every decision. Rather, the question is whether the state's review mechanisms provide realistic assurance that a non-sovereign actor's anti-competitive conduct promotes state policy rather than merely the party's individual interests. The department has a supervising official that makes sure that all the meetings that we conduct fall within the regulations of the Open Meetings Act. The role of the supervising official: each supervising official shall ensure the actions of the regulatory boards that displace competition are consistent with a clearly articulated state policy. The supervising official shall evaluate whether the action may constitute a potentially unreasonable restraint of trade that requires further review. And within our department, we have every single one of our board meeting videos reviewed, and then we contact the board afterwards if there's any issues or to define a policy after the fact. If it is determined that an action requires further review, provide notice to the board within 10 business days that the action is subject to further review, review all evidence, conduct a review of the substance of the action, and in writing either 1, approve the action, 2, remand the action, or 3, veto the action. If you have any questions about public records in the Open Meeting Act or the North Carolina dental case, please contact me. There's my phone number, email address. Thanks for bearing with me. I know it's been a long day. Sorry, my mouth is dry.
Thank you, members. Thank you, Joe, for that great presentation. We've got one order of business left before our new business items. Board members, if you can switch back to your presentation on page 596. This is our financial review, and we have the finished fiscal year 2024 through 2025. On that particular sheet, you will see a 4-year projection. It's a really good report that gives us kind of an idea of where we're at. It reflects that we closed fiscal year 25 with a deficit of $51,730. It sounds like a lot, but it isn't. It's a pretty close number considering, you know, we spend over $3 million, bring in over $3 million. Nevertheless, our reserves are at $1,129,909. When we meet in December, I'll probably have monthly reports again, but with fiscal year closing, usually then the next few months run a little bit behind. So that is informational only. December's meeting is going to be pretty busy, so maybe in February I'll present us some licensing numbers so you all can see some trends in licenses, schools. Obviously, we all know schools have picked up shops and that kind of thing. So I'll make sure that we have some data at the February meeting. And members, we are on the agenda on our new order of business. Joe will have something for you that he's handed in paper. If we could go ahead and take care of the new business. I know we've got someone from the public, a school owner, Ms. Jada Cantrell is here. She's been waiting patiently. She is a future school owner, Images Creation Career College, has some questions or items for the board. I'll let her come up. Ms. Cantrell? There you go, sweetie.
Good evening. How's everybody? I'm here on behalf of Images Creation Career College. I don't know what's happened in the past, but poor Roxanne and I, we're not communicating too well through our emails. And I live out in the country, and sometimes I have to go to my public library to get everything that she needs. And today I brought my enrollments and also my school catalog, and it is up to date to her standards, what she is requesting and what I've heard from the meeting, and I have listened in on the meetings that's been in the past on YouTube, and I just want to let you know that I'm aware of what is required of our industry. And Mrs. Russell, I've been in this industry for 30 years also as a licensed cosmetologist. So my goal and my dream is I'm like you, Mrs. Russell, I want the students to learn, and I want them to, and I've got it in my catalog, the times and everything that they need to be in class and et cetera. So I'm like you, I'm from the old school, and I feel like the students learns better if they're in the classroom learning from the industry, of our industry, I meant to say, and the field that they have chosen to be in.
It's Ms. Cantrell, is that correct?
Pardon
Your
me?
name?
Yes.
Ms. Cantrell, have you provided this documentation to Roxana or the board office to be included on our agenda?
Yes, I have.
Okay. It has not been included on our agenda for us to look over. This does take several hours for us to review in order to make sure that all of the criteria are met. I spend quite some time with each individual school. What is it that you feel is the breakdown in communication between you and the board office as far as you transmitting the information to them that they need to present to us?
She made a comment that she could not read the floor plan. She says that it's uncleared. And also, she says in my documents with my, oops, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hit that. I apologize. In each one of my enrollments, I have it very explanatory I hired an attorney to do these for me, and on each page, they are initialed, like she requested at the bottom. And also, the very last page of the enrollment, I have the knowledge receipt of the contract where they have to sign. And I have the rules and regulations in each one of them. Also, at the end of the school catalog, I have it on, where that it is a statement saying that I have read and fully understand the Images Creation Career College and agree to abide by its rules and policies, signature and dated at that end of that page. And also, I've noticed that I've heard the board members and you also, Mrs. Russell, that that you're wanting the concerns about, let me find it, where that is the backup method for tracking hours. I have it under my program delivery floor mats. I have the backup method for tracking hours. There will be a time clock. Each student will have their time card to clock in and out. If the power goes out, the company has a backup system for the hours. The hours will not be lost. Also, I have the full-time and part-time. Images Creation Career College maintains separate academic attendance records for all full-time and part-time students to ensure accurate tracking of program hours and progress toward graduation requirements. I have that in there.
Okay, Ms. Cantrell, located on the State Board's website, there is a list of items that must be completed by schools. Every school has to follow this list, including every bullet point. The board office, I think, when looking through your information, they were not able to locate enough of that information to be able to provide it to us to view. If you feel like those things are located in your information, perhaps moving forward, it might be best for you to print out or electronically somehow mark that. If you can print it out, then you can say this information is located on page 3 in the 3rd paragraph or wherever it might be. That helps you to locate it as well as the board office so that they feel like they have something to present to us. It'll also help you, if I have any questions, then it'll also help you be able to locate it for me because, again, I look over things and then you would be able to, give me that information as needed. It is required that you work with the board office in order to transmit those documents to us. It's important that you be able to be tech savvy enough to deal with things to the board because now in today's age, we have to transmit the hours, the students' hours from our schools into the board, to the board, so that those hours are tracked properly. If you struggle with that technology or you're struggling with technology in general, it might be helpful to seek resources such as the public library or community services to ask for help in learning computer and technology related things. I think that might be helpful. But if you will print out that list from our state board's website and check over your items. I understand that you've had help creating the documents, but even though you've had help creating the documents, they now belong to you. And if you can't find them and the board office can't find them, then that's going to need to be addressed. We wish you the best of luck, but we do need you to get your paperwork in order enough so that the board office is confident that we can find the information that we need.
Okay. I understand what you're saying, and let me rephrase what I meant, is that I have went online and I have done a lot of resource. I did it on my own. I've not had anybody help me. And when y'all was talking about earlier about cheating, I have not cheated. I'm going to be flat honest with you. I have learned by myself with pretty well much on my own, with nobody pretty well much not helping me. I did it on my own. So
I appreciate that, and if you can locate that information and send it on to the board office within your paperwork, and if you find something that you've left off, then that would be a good time to correct that. If you will send it to the board office so that they can send it to us to view, we'd be happy to see you at the next meeting.
Okay. I just wanted to know how I could give y'all this information because I have it all with me today. And I've even tried to send it to her several times. And it's like she keeps on letting me be aware that she's not getting my correct documents. So I don't know I'm being honest, so. It concerned me so much that I'm not gonna tell you no story of Mrs. Russell. I even went to my attorney and talked to him about this. I told him, I said, this has really bothered me. I've been in this industry for 30 years. And I let him be aware that I have not had nobody to help me. I did this all on my own. And I'm very thankful and grateful to good Lord above that he give me that knowledge and wisdom to do what I need to do and learn the resources that I need. So it would concern me so much that I even asked him, I said, I don't know why that she's saying that she's not accepted them and that such and such not in there when I know that they are in there. There was only 3 things that I noticed that I received from her the last time that she sent me was the one that was like I just got done saying, was the backup method for tracking hours, the signature line after the financial obligations.
Ms. Cantrell, so Roxana works very diligently with all of our school owners, and when she does send you those information, that is your chance to correct your documents. We need a fully corrected document, and if there are any things that you've addressed, you may want to make that as a note in an email. I have addressed the signature line, or I have addressed whatever it is, and you will find that now located on page 12 or wherever it's found at in your documents.
Okay.
As soon as the board office receives something that resembles what we need it to, again, please reach out to your local library, your community centers in your area and see if you can't find some help. They may be able to help you with the transmitting of the documents to the board office.
So what I need to do is just resend this back to her, is what you're saying, Mrs. Russell?
As long as it's a clarified document where she can find the pieces that she's requested, then yes, resubmit, and she will tell you if there's anything else that she needs from you, and she will get it to us, and you will be able to present like all the other school owners.
Okay, well, thank you for your patience and your time with me today.
Thank you.
I will turn it over to Joe. He has distributed 2 documents for your review. Joe, it is all yours.
Good afternoon, board members. To start with quickly, at our last meeting, I brought this matter up briefly. We received the Zendesk, which is the document that starts with number sign 226. We received this question from a licensee, and essentially the question regards an aesthetics device called the Abagon Pro. And the question boils down to is, I'm reaching out to confirm whether my license, which it's a cosmetology license, permits me to use the Abagon Pro device, which I understand functions similarly to a cavitation system. The second document that's stapled in 2 parts is my recommended response. This is a new legal vehicle in the state of Tennessee that went into effect this year. This is called a private advisory letter ruling. And essentially a licensee with underneath a board or commission, if they have a legal question regarding the industry, they can submit a question to the board or commission and get a response that is specific to them. So no one could take our letter and say, like, this is a standing law precedent, like the board is going to be held to this. We're basically stating, hey, we've reviewed your question as it applies to you as an individual, and this is a response that can only be used by you personally. So that 2-page document is essentially my suggested board response that would be signed by Becky. Obviously, the board speaks for itself, and obviously Becky, as the chairman, signs for you all. So it's based off of my research in the scope of licensure. My research indicated that the device can be used for cosmetology services, but it can also be used for services outside of cosmetology. And it uses several functions like radio wave frequency and then cavitation. And then looking at the Tennessee state rules and statutes, I found that the Department of Health defines cosmetic medical service any service that uses a biologic or synthetic material, a chemical application, a mechanical device, or displaced energy form of any kind that alters or damages. And essentially, this device would fall within the Department of Health. We cannot speak for the Department of Health, but essentially what my recommended response is, this device can be used for cosmetology services. However, it can be used for other services. So specifically speaking, your cosmetology license alone will not allow you to use this device on anyone for any reason. Please contact the Department of Health to see how their licensure statutes regarding a medical services device plays here. And that's essentially what that letter states right there. But any questions or concerns, let me know. It's quite a bit of not legal research. I've learned more about medical devices than I ever thought I would learn in my life. I didn't know cavitation was a word before this project. But anyways, let me know if you have any questions, concerns. Becky, certainly you. And obviously the decision is y'all's whether or not you want to accept the recommendation, sign it and issue it, tell me it's bad or it's wrong and to try again. So just let me know.
Can I speak to this just from having spent about 25 years in medical aesthetics? I'm a nurse as well as an esthetician and cosmetologist and taught medical aesthetics for over 20 years. I do not currently have an active cosmetology instructor's license though. So I think that this is a great response because we have a lot of people who in the aesthetics scope of practice are operating outside of it. We do have, that's a huge concern that I have from having taught it for so many years. When these estheticians want to use these types of modalities, they need to be under medical supervision. I worked really closely with the Board of Health because of that. So this response, I was really happy to see that this is what we were sending back to them because they do not need to be operating outside of their scope of practice. And anything that is a living layer of skin or deeper obviously is outside of that scope of practice. And these devices, a lot of times I think that estheticians think that if they are not necessarily seeing blood or maybe some type of, it's not something maybe that needs a type of anesthetic, they think that it's okay to do and it's still outside the scope of practice. So this is a great response.
Thank you, I greatly appreciate it.
Hey, Joe, speaking of that, since the last time we were here, I've run across people using it. So how will we get that information out that's something they shouldn't be using?
I guess I'll kick this over. It may be a little more in Roxana's wheelhouse, but I mean, obviously, now that we have done the research on that specific device, if it's an issue that our program is facing, the first thing that hits my gut is that we make our inspectors aware of it and then put them on notice to be looking for it in shops. It's a unique area, though, because the Department of Health is also involved. I don't know that our inspectors, and I'm not saying they're not the most fantastic inspectors in all the world, I don't know if they have the full realm of knowledge on the Department of Health side, right? So they may walk into a cosmetology shop and see that Abagon Pro device and be like, hey, that's outside of cosmetology, but the business may also have the necessary license with health. And I don't know that our inspector would be able to say, you got the right one from health to have that. So maybe, we just ask them, if you see that device and it becomes a pressing issue to notate it, but I don't know that we could issue like a notice of violation or anything. It would be an investigation essentially. But we would need more facts, but.
Well, and speaking to that, there's a lot of services that are being done outside of the scope of practice predominantly with aesthetics so much in the industry. And that is one thing that I do think that at some point the board needs to really take a closer look at the rules around some of the laws for aesthetic. If you compare them to a lot of other states, ours are really, really gray compared to how black and white that they are in some other states. And that's how a lot of estheticians are dancing around some of those things. And just for the safety of the public, because we have so many more med spas, so many more estheticians wanting to do things that should only be done by nurses or advanced practice nurses or, physicians. We need to maybe look at some of those rules and maybe redefine those at some point in time. I think that could help. Just from somebody who's been on both sides of it, I think it would be extremely helpful to the industry and to the public.
The only thing I'll add, because I know it's late and it's been a long meeting, to that is, those are the questions we get the most often, is from estheticians or cosmetologists that are crossing over, and of course, they can work as estheticians as well. To try to keep it simple so that the board and customer service isn't diving into this amazing analysis, as Joe had to do, we keep it, and you said it, it's gotta be the epidermis. It is the dead layer of skin. Anytime you go below, it's outside of our purview. However, under the exception section, you can work under a medical board, medical professional, or the like. And so that's the piece where they, as long as they're there and that medical professional is giving them the proper training, we would be okay. And that's our guidance, just to keep it simple, because there's new peels and creams and electricity and all the time, and we're just not the experts being in the industry, so.
And they think that just because a company will sell it to them.
Oh, absolutely.
That they can use it, and that's just, unfortunate.
I have nothing else. Ms. Russell, or members, if you have anything, we welcome it. Oh, yeah, we do need a motion, well, and the letter needs to be signed, correct?
Well, that would be
Yes. Yes. if
We
you
did have a question in the chat for the end, but it looks like they've logged out. It was from Urban Beauty Barber. They had 2 questions for the end of the meeting.
Okay, okay. Do you know what the questions are? I can definitely answer.
Yes, yes. They're in the chat also. The first question is, when a student is in an apprenticeship program, does a teacher have to be present online during their theory program, or are they able to complete it at their leisure as long as hours are clocked in?
So there is no true online as far as we've approved yet. And so an apprentice student, just to answer it on the record, because they'll be able to hear it, the apprenticeship student can virtually take the theory hours. The instructor is part of all of those theory hours as we've got it written now. And so they would get all of those hours, but it's based on virtual participation with the instructor there. So nothing really online.
Okay, and their second question states, if a student is out of the state or country, are they able to go to our school as an apprentice and do their practical at a salon in their country or state, report their hours, then file for reciprocity upon approval?
So I will reach the school this afternoon when we finish the meeting, but the answer is no, not the way apprenticeship is written in Tennessee. We would have no statutory authority over a supervising professional in Argentina or in Egypt, and so it wouldn't allow us to really know if this individual is prepared to not hurt the public.
Okay,
Thank you,
perfect.
Dana.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely, thank you. Any other questions regarding new business or hands raised? And we have an empty room, so none here. I appreciate you reading those. Anything else?
You need a motion to accept this letter, is that correct?
Yeah, yes.
I make a motion, we accept the letter.
We have a motion and a second to accept the letter the way it is written to provide for this, to provide an answer for the question.
Thank you, and I apologize, that's on me. I was writing and not thinking at the same time. Who made the motion? Thank you, Lori. And the second was Monica?
Second.
I got your voice, I recognize. Thank you.
And all in favor?
Agreed.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
And Ms. Russell, we will entertain a motion if you are ready to adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
All right. All in favor? Let's go home.
Thank you very much, members. Thank you for those that stayed online.